All right, y'all. Majestic is back with this special stream tonight for y'all. Uh Once when I can get Lorne's only working long in here, we'll be good to go. Uh hey Lorne's only working long, I sent you a friend request. Um if you would just accept it for me, please. Then I can call you or whatever, then then you can hang out with me on stream, and then we can hang out. I grabbed some beer. Man, I've been waiting all day for this stream. I am so excited that I just can't hide it. Let's see who's all in here real quick. Uh I saw SJB, Ellie, um Rachel D. Yeah, well, outdoor loser. Even though you're a winner, you're an outdoor winner. Decon versus the dark. What's up, my man? Stay safe out there as always. Let's see. Lauren's only working long. And I think that's everyone that I mentioned off. So yeah, today is going to be a very special stream. Oh yeah, and Bunny. Thanks for everyone stopping by. Oh man, I can't wait. Uh Man, I can't wait to get this stream going. Yeah. I kind of am invisible, ain't I? Should change it over. Boom. Hey guys. Hey y'all. Thanks for stopping by. Got a shit ton of beer. Man, it's gonna be a good story. We got some good people here. Good stream. Yeah, it's gonna be a good time tonight. Uh, let's see. Trying to think. I can probably play. Let's do a little. I was listening to something earlier. Just give it a little shout out. Let's see. I'm gonna do an animal encounter video. Let's see. What was it? I'm really excited for this stream today. And yeah, it's gonna be a fun day. Let's listen as we're waiting. Well, not really. No rush, really. I'm gonna play. Yeah. As we're Let's do this one. Yeah. Uh, bone chilling bear attacks. As we're on the roll with this. Excuse me. Jesus. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Thanks for stopping by again, everyone. Gustav? No, we're gonna do Barry. Some bears. Some There we go.
I put together this video last night featuring a collection of some of the most gruesome bear attacks covered on the channel thus far. This includes the brutal mauling of 2 people in British Columbia in what was an unprecedented black bear rampage, the fatal mauling of a couple in India by a rabid sloth bear, Hollywood's most infamous real-life grizzly bear attack, and much more. You're watching.
Hey, Roach Color, nice for you to stop by this evening. Good to see you, my friend.
Volume 2 of the world's deadliest bear attacks.
There we go. Some. God damn, don't fuck around with bears,
As Ray Kitchen, a 56-year-old trucker from Fort Nelson, BC, delivered his final load of explosives to seismic crews working on the Alaska Highway, he decided to take a break at Liard River Hot Springs Provincial Park with his 11-year-old daughter Jolene and her friend Sarah. The park is located in the Boreal Forest and is a popular tourist spot featuring campsites, breathtaking scenery, as well as a famous children's playground. It was August 14th of 1997, and Kitchen was looking forward to a day of relaxation where he could sit back and watch his girls swim. After having just spent mere
Hey, boo! Hey, boo! Nice, I didn't see you sneak in there. Nice for you to stop by, my friend.
minutes in the water, the peaceful ambience was suddenly shattered by ear-piercing screams coming from the Hanging Gardens, another one of the many famous attractions at the park. Kitchen sprang into action upon hearing this and ran along a slick boardwalk, climbing wooden stairs to the viewing platform, which is when he was met with a horrific scene. A massive black bear was mauling a young boy and a motionless woman, both covered in blood from deep wounds. What happens next would go down as one of the most tragic, yet heroic true tales in North American history. This is a true story of the Liard Springs tragedy of 1997.
Yeah, go smoke some pot.
After a long and exhausting journey
Yeah, I'll join you here, road.
From Paris, Texas, Patty McConnell and her 2 children, Kelly and Kristen, were relieved to arrive at Liard River Park. Eager to unwind, they quickly changed into their swimsuits and made their way to the lower pool. The water was warm and inviting, and they enjoyed a relaxing soak before deciding to venture into the more secluded upper pool. However, Kristen would quickly grow restless, which is when she would dash back to the lower pool to play with some newfound friends. Concerned for her safety, McConnell and Kelly would follow Kristen. As they approached the Hanging Gardens, Kelly suggested a better vantage point, and so the pair climbed a flight of steps to a viewing platform. Momentarily lost in the beauty of the myriad of exotic plants that the park hosted, the pair are unaware of the rustling bushes beside the boardwalk. As McConnell descended the wet steps, her attention was quickly drawn to something else. She locked eyes with a big adult male black bear sitting in the shrubbery chewing on a dogwood branch. Stunned, McConnell whispered urgently to her son, "Kelly, bear."
Yeah, right.
Kelly, however, thought she was joking and turned around only to come face to face with a towering black bear. Realizing the potential danger, he cautioned his mother not to make any sudden movements. Kelly then slowly begins moving closer to McConnell, which is when the bear suddenly snorted and lunged through the railing onto the boardwalk, prompting Kelly to yell in a panic, "Mom, run!"
Bro. You don't run. Okay, that's rule number 1. Don't run with the bear.
McConnell would then sprint back up the stairs to the viewing platform, but the bear was fast approaching. And just moments later, Kelly watched in horror as the bear grabbed his mother in between its mighty jaws. Despite his scrawny frame, Kelly then courageously attacked the bear and kicked it in the face, shouting at it to get off his mother in the process. The relentless Ursine grunted and returned to McConnell, not paying any attention to Kelly, who cleverly took advantage of this by searching for a weapon. Fueled by rage and surging with adrenaline, Kelly then grabbed a sawed-off tree limb and began repeatedly swinging it at the bear's head, while simultaneously screaming for help at the top of his lungs. Just as he'd catch a glimpse of his mother's blood on the bear's teeth, a now further enraged Kelly would then manage to land a powerful strike directly on the bear's nose, causing it to growl and lash out at him with its powerful paws, leaving deep claw marks on his neck and shoulders. The bear then turned its full attention to Kelly, overpowering him with its weight and biting down on his waist, which is when it proceeded to swing him around in the air as if he were a toy. It was at this point that Kelly felt himself losing consciousness as the bear flung him onto the deck with force, leaving him in a ball beside his motionless mother. As a now severely injured Kelly desperately attempts to crawl towards Patty, the determined bear would attack again and tear at Kelly's flesh with its teeth, causing
God damn.
him to scream in pain as he simultaneously controlled his urge.
See, that's the problem with bears. They don't kill, like, they're omnivores, okay? So they don't kill their prey right away. They'll like hold you down and then start taking chunks out of you while you're down like that.
Urge to vomit from the rancid stench of its breath.
Oh God, that'd be one of my worst fears too. It's like smelling the breath of tiger or a bear, especially after it. Oh, because they don't. Oh God, I can only imagine the meaty. Especially from a tiger. Man, that tiger breath would be horrible. Oh God.
Kelly at this point knew that death was near, which is when he would close his eyes and wait for the inevitable. This is when aforementioned Ray Kitchen arrives at the scene. He would react to the situation quickly and picked up a fallen tree branch and proceeded to pound it against the railing, shouting, "Hey, get off!" When the bear ignored him, Kitchen would then grab a larger branch and shove it into the animal's stomach, hoping to push it away from Kelly. The bear would then divert its full attention towards Kitchen and charged at him, knocking him through the railing and into the bushes. Kitchen protected himself from the bear's claws by scrambling on his knees to a nearby tree and covering his head with his hands. He would then scream for help. Hearing the commotion, 71-year-old Frank Headingham rushed towards the scene. Ingrid Bailey, a wilderness firefighter and paramedic from Felton, California, and her friend Brad Westervelt were already on the boardwalk ahead of him. They had heard the cries of "Help! Bear!" and "Get a gun!" and so were headed towards the parking lot along with the other panicked people. Bailey, along with Westervelt and Headingham, were accustomed to encountering bears, and so didn't let fear stop them as they grabbed sticks and chunks of wood and headed towards the scene. As they arrived at the viewing platform, they would see two bloodied
Hey, Brian Kane, nice for you to stop by. Welcome.
bodies lying on the deck. Below them, the bear had Kitchen in its grip, with its jaws locked around his arm and shoulder, and its claws tearing into his flesh. Bailey then hurled chunks of wood at the bear, screaming for it to release Kitchen, but her efforts too were in vain. Headingham and Westervelt would see a thick tree trunk nearby and attempt to use it as a battering ram, but even their combined efforts couldn't drive the persistent bear away. Bailey realized that they needed a gun and would then begin wondering where the park ranger was. Westervelt would decide to go find the ranger while Headingham, though exhausted and with a history of heart attacks, which of course didn't do him any favors given the stressful circumstances, would continue to fight the bear. It's at this point that suddenly, the bear would shift its position and begin attacking Kitchen once again, and land its final blow, tossing him into the air violently, killing him instantly. As this was happening, Bailey tended to McConnell, checking for her pulse and attempting to resuscitate her, despite knowing she was likely not coming back. Meanwhile, Headingham went to Kelly, who had just regained consciousness and was still trying to reach his mother.
Let me give Lorne's only working long a call quick.
As they were tending to Kelly, the massive black bear would then once again appear on the deck near them. An enraged Headingham then kicks the bear with his hiking boots, causing it to stumble back. However, instead of fleeing, the animal moved towards the boardwalk, where other people were still present. Kelly then begged Headingham to help his mother, to which Headingham replied to him not to move and to breathe slowly, assuring him that they were doing everything that they could. Headingham, who had knowledge of first aid, used his handkerchief from his jacket to clean up the worst of Kelly's wounds. Just as Bailey realized that they needed towels to act as compresses and more helping hands to assist with CPR, a group of several men would rush up the stairs just in the nick of time, with one having a towel as well as knowledge of CPR. Headingham and the man with the towel would then help to bind Kelly's wounds, while another man assisted Bailey in compressing McConnell's chest as she attempted mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. By this time, the bear had already left, but Bailey still couldn't help but wonder where the ranger was. Headingham then exclaimed that they needed
Hey, Pagefield version. Nice for you to shop boy.
To get the victims to the hospital, which is when he would leave to get some help. A man named Vandervelden, who was a research assistant from the University of Calgary, had been soaking in the upper pool.
There he is.
He'd rushed down to the boardwalk with some other bathers to see what was happening upon being alerted by all the commotion. It was at this point that someone shouts, "A bear's coming! Run for your lives!" As everyone fled, Vandervelden slipped and tumbled into the bushes, where the bear pounced on him and began to viciously maul him. Despite kicking and pulling at the animal's nose and ears, the bear would just not relent, and Vandervelde felt excruciating pain as its claws and teeth tore into his flesh, leaving deep wounds. Hedingham finally arrives at the park.
Hey, Lorne's only working long. I'm sending you a video, not a video, a voice call right now on Discord, my friend.
Ranger's office, where he'd recount the situation
So if you want, you can hop on there with me and then we can listen to this, or yeah, we can get started.
to Ranger Dave Webb,
If
who
you
quickly
like.
retrieved 2 rifles, a Winchester 30-30 and a Remington 223 from his motorhome. Accompanied by a young man named Dwayne Eggbroten, who he'd asked if he knew how to use a gun, the trio
MC Sleaze, nice for you to stop by.
then rushed to the scene. Eggbroten arrived first,
Yeah, I'm really
and heard
excited.
moans
I've
from
been
below
really
the
excited all day for this stream.
boardwalk where the bear had dragged Vandervelden and was now feeding on him. Taking aim at the back of the bear's neck, Eggbroten would fire a perfect shot, causing the bear to collapse, and although he knew that the shot was fatal, he regardless of this fired 2 more shots to ensure its demise. Back on the viewing platform, Bailey was still attending to McConnell and her son when she'd heard the shots. Her pent-up tension and anger finally released as she cried out, "Shoot it again." It was at this point that the tragedy at Leard River Hot Springs had finally come to an end. Although Patty McConnell died that afternoon, Kelly McConnell and Ari Vandervelden
Timothy Goodwin, nice for you to stop by. Good to see you, my friend.
would survive, thanks to the heroic acts of Ray Kitchen, Ingrid Bailey, Frank Hedingham, and the others. They were flown to a hospital and would eventually recover
Here he is.
from their severe injuries. More than 500 mourners attended the honoring of Ray Kitchen's bravery in Fort Nelson on August 22, 1997. In a letter to Kitchen's wife, U.S. President Bill Clinton wrote, "The heroism and selflessness that your husband displayed coming to the aid of Patty and Kelly McConnell is an example of all that is noble and good in human nature." Ray Kitchen would posthumously receive the Star of Courage from Canada in September of 1998, and Frank Hedingham, Kelly McConnell, Ingrid Bailey, and Brad Westervelt were also awarded decorations for their display of bravery.
They, sloth bears, have a reputation.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna send you a video, not a voice call, on Discord. Lauren's only working long. If you like. Since we have some more people here. Yeah, let's go, brother. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do some Bridgewater Triangle and some Bigfoot stuff. I'm ready. Hey, Pine Bear and Patriot, nice for you to show, boy. Yeah, I'm sending you a voice call. Oh, shit. Oh.
For attacking people without apparent reason, provided that the person happens to pass too close, either while the bear's asleep, or feeding, or just ambling along. So the natives give the bears a wide berth. Together with the elephant, they command the greatest respect from jungle-dwelling folk.
In the early hours of Sunday, June 5th, 2022, an unsuspecting couple in India found themselves journeying through a dense forest on their way home from the temple one morning. However, little did Mukesh Rai and his wife Gudia know.
Ah, there he is. The one and only. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, give me a second. Come on, work. Operate. My audio speaker my audio, like now my audio is coming out of my monitor's speaker instead of my headset. So I'm trying to fix it. Yeah, sorry. I wasn't ready.
This is all new to me anyway. Bigfoot stuff.
Yeah. I've been really excited for this though.
Yeah. Definitely. I actually looked over some stuff today that I wanted to bring up. You can hear me?
Yeah, through my headset now. I'm just gonna ask everyone. Can everyone hear Lorne's only working long right now, y'all?
Hello, people.
All right.
Hello. They can hear me?
I hope so. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Great.
Okay, brother. So,
okay, cool.
So where do we begin?
All right. So you want me? All right. So, well, like, how long have you been? Have you really been into the whole Sasquatch thing for a while, or you just starting to get into it? Or?
Yeah. So I've been like a avid So I want to believe. Okay. Right. Okay. So I believe in Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But I have to. But there's a limit, if that makes any sense. Like when people talk about it being like a dimensional being and stuff.
Okay. Yep. Stop right there. I am the same exact way you are with it. Okay. In my opinion, it's a living, breathing, flesh animal. It's not interdimensional. It's not. They would call people that I don't like. Everybody has their own opinions, and there's something that hasn't been discovered yet. So you can't say for sure or whatever. But in my opinion, the stuff that I know, I think like you do.
Yeah.
And I lose interest when people. And it sounds snobbish and shit, but I'm not. It's just I lose interest in the fact that they shoot lasers out of their eyes, or they get dropped off by aliens. And,
it's like they have like a cloak, like a invisible cloak thing. It's like
the predator cloaking device. Oh yeah, mind speak too. Mind speak is another thing they say they have. Certain people say that they're speaking to these creatures, and no, I mean I don't believe that at all.
Because I believe they the whole Gigantopithecus thing, that's straight up a real living. That was a real living thing, and I believe it's
2,000 years ago. Yep, correct.
I believe it's like a descent. I believe Sasquatch or same thing, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Bigfoot. They're either it's that animal or it's like a subspecies came off of that has yet to be discovered.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah, basically we're in the same boat then. That's what I believe. I definitely don't, and there's some crazy theories out there, obviously, that, really make you shake your head. And there's people that, there's people that are well known in the Bigfoot community. For instance, the frauds, Todd Standing, they call him. And Surviving Man.
Didn't he have that samurai Bigfoot audio recording? It sounded like
Samurai Chatter. Okay, that's what we're talking about. All right, the Samurai Chatter is actually called the Sierra Sounds. Okay. And this guy Ron Moorhead actually is the one that recorded them back in I want to say after the Patterson film in 1967. Ron Moorhead and a few other guys went out into the woods and they recorded. It was a hunting lodge type thing, but it wasn't really a lodge. It was a little cabin they built, not so much a cabin, but it's in the middle of the woods. And they started hearing noises, and they brought in some other people from news media and stuff to go with them up into this site.
Sure.
And then they actually recorded what is now known as the Sierra Sounds. It's and it's known as Samurai Chatter. So that's been around since the 60s. Todd Standing is actually someone that I've been following for a while, probably 10 years ago was the first time I heard of him, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
He came running out of the woods. He's an avid, woodsman from, I believe he's from Alberta. And he came flying out of the woods after supposedly being lost out there for 10 days, and he said when he came back that he was, running around with Bigfoot and stuff out there. And it sounds crazy, but that's what he said. And then he started naming the place that he was lost. He started calling it, you'll see this with his stuff, it's Sylvanic. And he calls it like Sylvanic Bigfoot. And that's where you got the name from. But at the same time this happened, he was also in pre-production of a movie he was filming about Bigfoot. A movie that wasn't a documentary. It was a horror movie about people that get lost in that area and get killed. And so that's how he started off. And that's why he had the reputation of not being an up and up, researcher or however you want to say it, which is surprising that Survivor Man ended up getting hooked up with him because
what was his name? Les
Strode?
or
yeah. So it's surprising that he would align himself with him, but it's also surprising that Jeff Meldrum actually, if you watch Discovering Bigfoot on Netflix, it's a show that Todd Standing did.
Oh, okay.
Jeff Meldrum is on that, and Jeff Meldrum is he's an expert in foot motion, human foot motion, stuff like that, and he studies the footprints and all that stuff. And he's out of Idaho University, I believe, and he's well known as being
that guy. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yep, that's Jeff Meldrum. He's someone that the community looks up to, and they enjoy him. And he's someone's a no nonsense guy. He's had a few encounters, and for some reason, about 8 years ago, he started his own podcast. It's since deceased, but he had a podcast with Todd Standing, and that's how the Survivor Man thing actually started. They had a podcast together, and Survivor Man was a guest on the podcast, and Todd Standing talked Survivor Man into going out in the woods with him and, having these experiences, and that's how you see the Survivor Man Bigfoot when he's screaming into the fire and you hear the noises and stuff, and you're trying to say that's Bigfoot. Well, that was their first experience out there, and that's how all that started. And around that time, it wasn't a great time for this whole thing, and I know it became a trendy thing later on, but back then you had I don't know if you heard of Rick Dyer.
That doesn't sound too familiar to me, but
if you look up Rick Dyer, he actually he conned the world. He literally conned everybody. Literally, he conned people into thinking he had a frozen Bigfoot out in Georgia. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
He was on CNN. He was on CNN. He said that he had
right. Yeah.
His name is Rick Dyer. He also ended up making a movie with a guy from London, I believe. And at the end of the movie, he ends up shooting a Bigfoot behind Walmart in Texas. Okay? So he was another guy that was doing bad things and just making it look ridiculous at the time. And they're all kind of aligned together. And you have the people on the outskirts of it that are getting sucked into it, like Meldrum. And, Survivor Man seems to be a good guy and does, what he's doing. But, yeah, you have people ruining it at the same time and, putting their own stamp on it. If you look at some of the pictures that Todd Standing has, they look like Muppets.
Yeah. They look so fake.
Yeah. They look so fake. They look like blinking Muppets.
Yeah.
Now, Todd Standing came out about a month ago and said that one of the Bigfoot in his picture is 15 feet tall. He's trying to say that it was 15 feet tall and it's the biggest one ever captured. Yeah, 15 feet tall is ridiculous. And it's crazy. And I just think he has a show on, I think it's every Wednesday night on YouTube, and he has people on there, and some people definitely believe whatever you throw at them. You know what I mean? He has a whole cast of people. You can't go in there. I went in there to argue with them about a point, and you just get shut down. You can't talk to them. You can't say this is wrong.
That's the thing that someone also brought up in the chat. There's been so much fake Bigfoot bullshit that it ruins the credibility of actual sightings.
Yeah, absolutely it does. It's ridiculous. You can't go on YouTube without seeing some crazy footage. And I noticed some of the footage are from really bad movies, and people are passing them off. And I mean, the only film that people, the '67 Patterson film is obviously the main film. That's the one that's been around.
So that one, the the Patterson Gimli
Yep.
Bigfoot video,
Yep.
that one, and
Yep.
then there's another one I've seen.
Which one?
I forgot where it was located. It was somewhere down south. I can't remember if it was
Okay.
like Florida, Alabama,
Yep.
Alabama, Mississippi, but it was on his property,
Yep.
and he spotted. It's got it on film. Like this
Yep.
creature is down, like on its like bending down, like in the
Yep.
water, and you can clearly see it basically fishing. And a truck
Right.
happens to drive by. All of a sudden, the son
Okay.
bitch stands right up,
Huh.
and the dude
Nice.
is a genuine. Like I feel like it's genuine. Like the
Right.
dude, all of a sudden, like as he's filming, all of a sudden, the second it stood up, the dude went sprinted right out, like it was
Yeah.
like he was gone, and
There's
there's very few videos that I say
Yeah.
I think are credible,
Right.
like that, like the Patterson Gimli one, and then like the
Yeah.
one that I was just talking about are like
Right. There's a
pretty
few. I mean,
fucking
if you look
compelling.
at there's another guy, Paul Freeman. It's called the Freeman footage. If you look that up, that's footage. I believe it's from Washington, and he got it might have been on Memorial Day, but he got two of them. He filmed two of them at once, and
Oh shit!
yeah, Paul Freeman. That's one of the more famous ones. Behind Patterson, that one's kind of standed the test of time. His son actually just came out recently, and he's writing a book about his father and what he found and all that stuff.
Really?
About the book. Yeah, about that. That's a big sighting right there. The Paul Freeman footage. That's up there. And if you talk to people, they'll tell you like that's one of the bigger ones. But all these things go through scrutiny. I mean, the Patterson film went through years of it. You had a guy who said it was him in the suit. Bob Hieronymus was his name.
Yeah.
He said that he was the actual guy in the suit. And Patterson was a known, and he wasn't known as the best person. He owed a lot of people money. He basically tried to steal the camera that he filmed the Bigfoot on. So
shit!
I mean, he was.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, the Gimlin guy from all encounters I've heard about Gimlin, he's alive. Patterson died fairly recent after the footage. He passed away, but Gimlin's still around. He's like maybe 90, and he's done some interviews on Sasquatch Chronicles, which is one of the shows that I've been on.
Okay.
It's a pretty good show. Wes Germer is the guy. He had his own. What happened is he had his own Bigfoot encounter, and then he started the podcast. So it actually, it's an interesting. If you can go to that Sasquatch Chronicles, that's a real. I mean, you have story and story after story of.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I would suggest that to everybody. Another good one out there on YouTube, if you want to get started on, is Dixie Cryptid.
Dixie Cryptid.
Yeah, Dixie Cryptid. It's pretty good.
Okay.
He does a lot of just people who call in with short stories and
Okay, that's really cool.
Which is really good. But yeah, those are you check out the Freeman footage. That's like when I talk to people about this subject. That's one of the ones. And I can't say that any of these are for sure real. We don't have one.
Right.
The only way you know for real is someone has one in their basement. You know what I mean? But I can just kind of. From the 28 to 30 years that I've been kind of researching it and studying it, I kind of have my opinions on it. And
here's my opinion of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So I like I said, like me and you are on the same page basically on Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I also believe like a lot of people too, when they claim they see Bigfoot, I also want to say, it's more than likely they misidentified like a bear.
Yep.
More than likely a bear that they happened to see standing at that time. Just happened to see it walking, and then that's all you get because it's in the fucking woods, and so you only get that glimpse of it, and then all of a sudden it's gone.
Well, I've heard like people interviewed, and they're saying, "Oh, I saw a Bigfoot," but at the same time, the person says, "Listen, I've never seen a bear in the wild." So I'm guessing if you saw a bear in the wild, you'd probably shit your pants. You know what I mean? You wouldn't know what to do. It's huge. You'd be freaked out. And I think some people do mistake it. They'll be like, "Oh, it was like," those things are on their hind legs, and they obviously don't run around like lunatics on their hind legs, but but when they get on their hind legs, they're 8 feet tall and shit. You know what I mean?
So, yeah,
I was just watching
they're huge.
Yeah,
They're
they're huge.
huge.
I was watching a clip on Joe Rogan the other day, and it was a guy had it was during a storm, and I forget where it was, but it was a storm, and
Uh-huh.
a huge grizzly bear literally poked its head through a cabin door, like smashed through it,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy had to shoot the bear dead, and it ended up being like a 10-foot bear, grizzly bear. And he had to shoot. It was like going
Shit.
for his wife. It was like going right at his wife, I guess. And
God damn.
yeah, shot it with a 12 gauge under the neck. Yeah. Well, what happened was he shot it a few times, and
Uh-huh.
it lumbered in the door, and it couldn't get out of the door. And he had to call his friend. His friend had to come over with a 12 gauge and put it
And
under
finish
the
it.
bear's chin and kill the thing. You know what I mean?
Fuck.
It was crazy, and they have pictures of it and video of it, and like and just seeing something like that. I mean, that's a real monster. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like,
yeah. Yeah, like
that's a
I
legit
was up
monster.
in Glacier like a couple of years ago, and I
Yeah.
was lucky enough to see a grizzly up on its back legs, reaching for something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It was
Yeah,
a
that's frightening.
fucking giant. It was
Yeah, that.
huge.
Yeah, man, that's completely frightening. That's yeah, but it's
So
crazy because
like
people
that's
don't.
where I could see like where people like what you just said, like if people haven't
Yeah,
seen a bear in the woods,
yeah,
like or at
absolutely.
all in nature, like I could
Yep,
totally see how someone can misidentify that as a Bigfoot.
definitely. Like it's very easy. I would think it would be very easy, and I've never seen a bear in the woods, so I don't know. Like
You don't want
I've
to.
and I yeah, I don't think I do. You know, I really don't. And I've hunted. I grew up hunting and
Yeah.
everything else, and I've never seen a bear. And yeah,
Yeah,
um,
Montana, if you ever get the chance, Montana's the place if you ever want to see a bear. I've seen
I'd love to
10.
go to Montana.
I
I'd
saw
love it.
10.
I've
See,
been out to Colorado. You saw 10? Holy cow!
yeah.
Ooh, right. That's crazy.
Between black bear and grizzly.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Like
There's so many up there.
I went out to Colorado years ago to like Estes Park and stuff because it was supposed to
Oh
be
yeah, Estes.
sightings.
I love that
Yeah,
area.
yeah. That's why I stayed out there. I was with a girl out there, and that's when I really started getting into the Bigfoot thing, and because there
Okay.
was a bunch of sightings out there too. You know,
Yeah.
that's a hot one. Yeah.
So
Ohio, believe it or not.
someone asked, what's your take of the Jersey Devil?
Oh, it's interesting. I mean, I'm not too familiar with it. I've read some books on it and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it could be a number of things.
It
We've
really
had
I
we have
really
something
don't know.
similar here in the Bridgewater Triangle.
Hmm.
They see
So
thunderbirds
yeah,
and stuff. And
before we get like really
yep,
get far, so what like
yep.
I'm not really too familiar with the Bridgewater
Okay,
Triangle.
all right, yeah, it's interesting. I will go back to the other thing we were just talking to about too, the
Okay.
devil. But
Yeah.
we have something similar here. Not as renowned as the Jersey Devil, but the Bridgewater Triangle. It's about 200 square miles. I want to say I'm not like like with the exact, but there's a
Yeah.
triangle. It lines up to some paranormal activity that has happened. And Lorne, not Lorne. It's actually Loren, Coleman. Actually, is the one that coined the phrase Bridgewater Triangle. And he's from the area. He was investigating paranormal activity in the area, and it seemed to have formed this triangle. And people saw UFOs, orbs, Bigfoot. Giant snakes is another one around here. People see giant snakes, and in Massachusetts,
Really?
that's really crazy to have people report giant snakes.
You
But
think
people
that they're
report them.
released? Like
I,
possibly
yeah, I
released?
mean, yeah, I mean, I can't see them. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't. And this was years ago, and I know, like after the hurricane in Florida,
Yeah.
the python, it just boomed out there. It's like you literally have 16-foot monsters in
Oh
backyards in
yeah.
Florida. It's
Yeah, like
crazy,
the
but
Everglades down in Florida are wrecked
yep,
because of the pythons down
yeah,
there.
yeah. Well, yeah, I watched a show the other night. They're saying there's no raccoons and possums in the
Yeah.
Everglades now because of pythons. It's insane.
Yeah, it's like 90% of the population of all the animals have been depleted because of the
Yeah,
pythons.
Yeah. So
Which is
people,
crazy.
no, it's insane. I mean, they're eating snakes. I mean, they're eating alligators and stuff out there. It's absolutely insane. Um, but as I was saying, like the people have seen orbs, UFOs, and it's one guy is actually kind of famous in the Hockomock Swamp. It means like spirit dwelling, place of spirit dwelling. This guy saw a Bigfoot in like the 80s. His name was Joseph DeAndrade, and he saw a Bigfoot out there when he was trapping, and there
Really?
was a yeah, oh yeah, and it's funny because the backstory to it is I was real young when this happened, and for a project in school, I had written him a letter to talk about Bigfoot. So that's one of the yeah. So I go I go all the way back to like when I was like a kid, like really like a little kid. I was into this stuff, you know, and
Yeah. Actually, that's how I got into Bigfoot too. I was like around the same, like around 9, 10 years old about Bigfoot, and then I
yeah.
still really liked it
Yeah,
to this day.
it's a crazy thing to think that something that's so similar to us but
Yeah.
different is running around out there, and it just it's crazy. But yeah, this area, this triangle, dude, it's crazy. It's a Freetown State Forest is actually in it too, and
Okay.
Freetown Forest. If you look it up, it's there was a bunch of satanic murders in there and satanic rituals.
Oh,
And like it's not even a rumor. It happened, and there's a special, and I want to say it was on the Star Channel, or one of these channels recently that came out with a 3-part docu series on
oh
the
shit.
satanic killing. Yeah, the satanic killings in Freetown, and there was one guy that supposedly had a harem of women that he was pimping out there, and one of them wasn't doing what he wanted, so he sacrificed her, and he had another girl cut her head off, and it was insane. The whole
My God.
story was absolutely crazy. So, in that same area too, way back with the King Philip's War, it was 1600, like 1670s, I believe, something around there. They killed 600 Indians on that same land. They we did people off the Mayflower, which is friggin' awful. They killed and tortured 600 captive Indians, and they believe their spirits,
Oh my God.
yeah, run crazy during that. And it was really, really a shitty thing because
Yeah.
King Philip was actually an Indian, obviously, and he changed his name to a colonized name because he got along so well with the colonies, and they turned on
Oh,
him and his people, and they killed him. They killed,
oh
600
shit.
for the hell of it. And right in Plymouth, Massachusetts, they did it too. Right around the triangle, they did it too. So it's it's a cursed. They think it's a cursed place, and you have the Dighton Rock out there. If you look it up too, there's a thing called the Dighton Demon, the
The
Dover
di-
Demon. Sorry, Dover Demon and the Dighton Rock, the two different things. Sorry, but yeah,
Okay.
Dover Demon is a
Dova demon. Okay.
Dover Demon is another one. That's in a matter of a couple days. A few people witnessed the Dover Demon. Said it was the same thing, described it the same. Um,
Really?
very, yeah, very interesting story. And the other thing, I
Huh.
don't know much about these things, but
Okay.
the Pudgewuggy, you hear of these things?
No, no, this is all new to me, my
Yeah.
friend.
All right, Pudgewuggy. So yeah, it's weird. They're like little Smurfs. People said they saw like these little Smurf characters, and they talk to you, and they're like 2 feet tall, and like I didn't really get into it. I didn't talk to anybody that's seen them, but one of the things I read actually was a guy who had encountered one walking his dog, and supposedly it was
Really?
talking to him. Yeah, it was talking to him and trying to get the dog over to him, and just trying to create mischief. And
Wow.
to me the thing sounded like
Almost like
elf, like some elf or something, like so.
kind of sounds like
I
a
don't know.
skinwalker or
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's creepy, man. That whole thing is creepy. The changing of the voice to sound like someone you know to
yeah,
get you to where you don't want to go. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that, that is really crazy. But there's a lot of stuff that happens in that Hobnock Swamp out there that's in the triangle, and
Okay.
it's very and people. And to be honest with you, it's a place that's kind of in between where Rhode Island comes down, and Like there's mafia people dumping bodies out there too. So
till this day still, or
exactly. You still have like, I mean, the mafia isn't like what it was, but you have organized crime and people. I still throw bodies out there once in a while, and it's people go out there and try to get spirits going or whatever they do. I'm not into the whole EVP thing, but people go out there and they try to. I've talked to people about it, and they've gone out and they've gone out and tried to speak to people over the EVPs and shit. So it's so that place has a lot of energy that people try to go out and screw with, and animal sacrifices. Recently, there was people out there sacrificing animals and shit. So cops were involved. Yeah.
So I have to ask. So let's get started. So I want to hear this Bigfoot encounter.
All right. So there's different. So I'll get into it like this. There's different class encounters. Okay. There's like a class A, a class B, and class C or whatever. But class A is visual.
Okay. Lorne. Uh-oh. I think we lost Lorne. Lorne's only working long. I think we lost him. Oh, Dacon, yes. I can get you on here somehow on stream too. I would have to figure that one out. Hey, let me get this guy. Hold on. Oh, shit. Lawrence only working long cutout. The Bigfoot got him. Hello, sir? There he is. Hold on. Sounds like it. I've been really looking forward to this. This is awesome. Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Yep. Hillary Clinton. Oh, sure. Hold on. No. Oh, shit. There he is. Hey, sir.
Hey, buddy.
Oh, there he is.
All right. I don't know what happened, buddy. I was talking to you. I'm like, can you hear me? And then there was nothing there. So.
Yeah, it like cut out. It was like the fucking government said something.
No, I think it's my new earpiece, like Lawrence.
So
I got my earpiece.
So you were describing a class A and then it cut out.
Yeah. Class A, class like B is like well, mine's more of a class B. Like I didn't like get a great visual of it, but there was something. There was something there, and it came into contact with other stuff. But I'll get into it. I was about 9 years old. Do you hunt at all?
Yes, I'm an avid deer hunter.
Okay, great. My dad was too, and that's what they were doing. They were scouting for deer. They weren't hunting. There was about 5. He was a cop in my hometown. There was about 5 other cops that he was with, and once in a while he would take us, like me and my brother. And so we went and we took the dog, and we weren't hunting, so we took the dog just because you take the dog with you. It's fun.
So was this like I'm sorry, like so was this like in the summer or fall?
Yeah, this was summer because
Okay.
I believe like I don't hunt anymore, but I believe deer season was like in November, like
Yeah,
here,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like
Deer
bow
season
season
is
and yeah.
November.
So yeah, so during the summer, what my father and his buddies would do, they'd go out scouting places to put tree stands in,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, do stuff like that. And so it was like probably between 5 and 10 cops that my father is friends with, and some of their kids are there, so it's like kind of like a little hangout. And we're walking, and it's fucking crazy. My dog, like my dad was kind of old school,
Okay.
and he would take these dogs with him, and he took a lot of them
Mm.
into the Hobmark Swamp. Okay,
Okay.
and some of these dogs didn't listen, and not to have my dad sound like Lorne at all, because he's usually good to animals, but he lost a few dogs out there. That's how
Jesus.
like crazy the swamp was, you know. So my mother was
Wow.
already wary about us bringing the dog with us. She didn't. It was a, it wasn't a hunting dog. It was a pet, you know.
Oh yeah.
So he's like, I don't want the dog going. I don't even want you kids going, but whatever. So my father
Hmm.
took us. And I'm walking with my father. We're probably more towards the back of the line that everyone's walking, and it wasn't like a side by side. It was a narrow dirt road we were walking on. So
Okay.
and it had berms on the side of it, these hills on the side of the road, and it was getting later in the day. They wanted to check out one more spot, and so I was already
Okay.
tired. I was like, I just want to go home and shit. And I think I was like 9 at the time. So
Okay.
me and my brother were fighting, doing whatever, being little jerks, and the
Being
dog
kids.
got loose. Yeah, we were just assholes. So the dog got loose. Like I forget who was in charge of the dog at the time. Me and my brother weren't that far apart in years, so
Hmm.
one of us was in charge. The dog got loose. We were fighting with each other. The dog got loose and it ran. And this dog like wasn't afraid of anybody. Like it just was
Yeah.
friendly with everybody, and everybody there loved the dog. And we we heard something in the woods. Like I didn't say this, I forgot to, but we heard something in the woods earlier during the scouting trip. We heard and it wasn't anything to be alarmed about. It sounded just like people in the woods. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, like almost
snapping
like
of
chatter
trees.
or.
No, no, no chatter, nothing, nothing's crazy like that. It was literally sticks breaking,
Oh, okay.
like, and a footfall, I should say, just like footfall. And my father actually said, "Man, I think there's someone else out here." Blah blah blah. And a little more ways into it, we're walking and we hear a growl. That's not the dog, and the dog's not in front of us anymore. And there's this guttural. When I
Was
say
the dog
guttural,
with you still, or did it,
the
or
dog
what?
took off. We was
Oh
close.
yeah, that's
Yeah, we
right.
was close to
That's
watching
right.
it. Yeah, so I'm sorry. I'm not like awesome storyteller. So,
No, no,
um,
you're good. I'm trying to. No, no, you're good.
um no, you ask anything you need to ask. Don't even worry about it. Don't worry about it. So the dog took off. He's mad at us for letting the dog loose again. He's probably worried about my mother kicking his ass for losing another dog. So it was a high pressure situation,
Yeah.
and the dog got way ahead of us, and we heard another guttural growl. When I mean guttural, it sounded as a kid. I mean, this is like 20 something years ago. Okay,
Hmm.
so as a kid, you don't know what it was, but like I look back on it, and it sounded like a robot. Okay, that's how like odd the noise was. And when people play Bigfoot encounters and the noises they make, I've never heard one that sounds exactly like it.
Yeah.
But it was this weird guttural, like, and I can't even begin to imitate it. But it was crazy. And
See, that's
so
something like a. So it was like a guttural, like uh, like a low growl or like a low
yeah,
something.
almost like an engine on some weird ship on a Star Wars show or something. You know what I mean? But you
Really?
could tell it wasn't. You could tell it wasn't like robotic, but it almost
Right.
had that. It almost had that thing to it. You know what I mean? It's just odd and it's tough to explain. I know, but this is how I explain it.
No, no, no,
Um,
no. You're good, brother.
all right, so the dog is it's ahead of us, and I should have said this. The dog was a Springer Spaniel.
Okay.
Um, it wasn't like it's not a big dog. It's probably you know, t- you know, 60 pounds or something, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And he got loose, and it's faster than us, and we couldn't find the dog, is what it comes down to. Now we're looking for the dog, and my
Right.
father is like freaking out because my mother's
they
going to
get an
kill him,
ass
basically.
whooping.
Yeah, we're all in trouble, basically. I won't be allowed in the woods. My brother was a gun nut, so he's not going to be able to shoot his gun off in the woods. And, it was a bad situation. So
Yeah.
So two of the cops went ahead of us. They were looking for the dog, calling the dog's name. The dog's name was, I believe it was Poco. That was the dog's name. And I called it Poco. And we're calling for it. And the guy in front of my father, I'll never forget, his name was Dick, too. So I called him a dick the rest of my life. His name was Dick. And he called to my dad. He was like, hey, I found something, and don't bring your kids over. Right? So I'm like, oh shit, that's not good. And I kind of looked at my little brother. Yeah, not good. So they went over there. They left us with there was one wife. I remember this. There was one woman that was there with her husband. I'll never forget it. She's the one that like took me, my brother, and two other kids aside and was like, oh, don't go over there, blah, blah, blah. And as a kid, you don't know what's going on.
Right.
You know what
because
I mean?
you kind of want to know what's going on, but at the same time, the
Yeah.
parents won't let you know.
Yeah. Exactly. So my dad came walking back, and you could tell something was wrong. And he looked at my brother. He looked at me, and I was a little bit older than my brother. So he's like, "Hey, I got to talk to you. I got to talk to you, Mike." I'm like, "Yep." So he basically told me, he's like, something got hold of the dog, and Dick in front said that he saw something large and huge, large and huge, making movements around the berm. There was a hill and a tree. And he was making movements around the tree, and the dog was literally, this is fucked up. The dog was literally flattened like a pancake, dude.
What the
dog,
hell?
Yeah, the dog was literally crushed to like, I'll never forget it. It was crushed like a
Almost like
fucking
a steamroller, like almost like one of those like steamrollers.
Yep. It was like a laptop computer. That's how the dog was crushed, dude.
Wow.
That's how bad. And it was big, and I mean big, dude. And I didn't measure it, and I was 9 years old at the time, obviously.
Right.
But it was big, as in like, huge feet, huge feet. That's all. That's the only way you could explain it.
Yeah.
So my father was freaked out, like like I've never seen him like freaked. So he was freaked out.
So he probably went into cop mode. That's what happened.
Yeah, no, he did. He did. All of them did, and like, and as a kid, like you look back and you're like, oh, and I talk about it with my brother still to this day. We talk about it, and it's crazy. So the cops, they still talk. My father died recently, and but till the day he died, he believed in it because of that situation.
So what did Dick and did he
So
say?
Dick said that. Yeah, Dick. This is what he died. He didn't die. He died pretty close to that after this happened. And
really,
he died like he died actually when he was still a cop. He was still on the force.
Was he in pretty good health or?
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, he was in good health. I want to say he did. I think he died of a heart attack though. But he wasn't in awful shape. You know what I mean? Like
right. So he was a fairly healthy guy. Okay.
Yeah, he died, and on his deathbed, he basically was still saying that he in his mind he saw Bigfoot. Like, so I can't sit here and tell you I saw it because I didn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
right.
It's still it's an encounter I had as a child.
Yeah.
I would love to tell you some crazy like it came up to me and you know what I mean, but no,
And then all of a sudden, like
yeah, like it came after me and threw something at me or something. But that like, so I was young, like really young when this happened, and like I had to go home and explain to my mother, like, the dog was crushed, and me and my brother for years were trying to figure out what exactly happened. And my father's definitely like a no nonsense old school Italian guy from Boston.
No BS.
He doesn't believe in any nonsense, dude. He doesn't like, you know what I mean? He doesn't like, if he can't see it or touch it, it's not real. He had that, very like, not like a faith type of guy. He was like, you gotta see it. But I'm telling you, man, till the day he died, he thought it was real. He thought it was Bigfoot that killed his dog.
Yeah, I mean, well, Well,
Yeah.
hearing like steps. Well, you said like you guys
Yeah.
heard like footsteps.
Yeah, like footfalls around us,
Yeah.
breaking branches. Um, there was no smell. People always report a smell. There was no smell. But then again, I don't
Was
think.
it eerie? Was it like eerie quiet though?
Yeah, I do. I think back then that it was, and I think my father actually said that it was. I can't remember myself if it was. To be honest with you, it was that long ago.
Because I've
But I
heard of
think,
that too. Like
yeah, yeah. Supposedly the animals go because the
this
apex predators on the
quiet.
scene.
They just go
Yeah,
fucking.
yeah,
You could like hear like a pen drop in the woods when
right.
shit like that happens.
Yeah.
I've heard that
Well,
before a couple times to
yeah,
where it'll just go fucking quiet.
yeah. Well, yeah. That's what, and I've had like other things happen in the woods. Like I've gone to New Hampshire and I've gone to, like I said, Colorado and other places where I've heard stuff,
Yep.
but like nothing like that when I was a kid, where I had a dog that looked like a laptop that was crushed with huge footprints around it. You know what I mean? And
It makes
if
you
it was
wonder.
back, yeah, if it was back, like if that happened now, there would have been pitches and everything else. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
obviously, like it's, I was 9 and
That's
I'm in my late 30s, so it's
that's wild, man.
yeah. So my father and his buddies went back there a bunch of times hunting and stuff, and my father spent a lot of nights out in the Hockomock Swamp where it's supposed to be haunted and stuff, and he's seen some stuff, but he never saw Bigfoot or like had an encounter like that after it, but he definitely believed it was real, and that kind of started me on my whole thing
Okay.
where I started
So
researching it, and oh, go ahead. Sorry.
so I'm sorry. So like here's my little I don't know if it was Bigfoot or what.
Yeah.
So here's my little thing. So
Yep.
northern Missouri is where I go deer hunting is northern Missouri, and it's basically all farmland. So it's
Yeah,
flat in northern
that's a
Missouri.
hot thing, to be honest with you, Falco. That's a place where people talk about seeing it. So,
Is northern Missouri?
yeah, Missouri, yeah, yep,
Oh
absolutely.
shit.
I, if you listen, like I said, I don't want to
I
interrupt
know
you. But if
like
you
the
listen to Sasquatch,
Ozarks. I know the Ozark
yeah,
area is like
yeah, if you listen to Sasquatch Chronicles, there's people from Missouri that are on there talking about it.
oh no shit.
Yeah, so you should definitely
Uh
check that out.
so
Yeah,
like northern Missouri, like I said, is very flat.
yeah,
I mean, you'll have hills, but it's mostly flat. Um,
yeah,
anyways, so we have 150 acres up there
yeah,
where we hunt on, and it was like my first. So I've been going hunting for about 12, 13 years now,
yeah,
and for my first 5, I know I would say that's my rough time frame I would give for sure. My first 5 years going up there, it was just
yeah,
so weird. Like the second you would get on the property and then like step out of the truck and this like just the second you got on the property and just start walking, you just felt like you just got the sense
right,
of something watching you. And you would look like in the possible direction of like where that like of where you sense of where it was coming from, and there would be nothing at all. But it was just like you just at all times, no matter
right,
where you were walking on that property, it was just like eyes were just watching you at all times.
yeah. I've had that creepy feeling, man, before too. That's a crazy feeling. That really is.
It's very unnerving. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
really
man.
unsettling for me. And
Yeah,
and like again, like yeah, I was still like when I was like when I'm deer hunting and stuff, yeah, I have my gun on me, but I'm still like kind of unnerving on me because it's like I have no idea where sense is coming from.
yeah, Falco. I'm never completely comfortable in the woods, man. I'm never just like completely because I have
Then
all
like
this stuff rattling around in my head, like what this could be, what that sound could be. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
and like
yeah,
it's what's really weird is now I don't have that feeling anymore. So it was like
really,
yeah, yeah, it's gone. Like
good for you. That's
like whatever it was, it's gone. So
wow.
yeah, like from like just recently this past deer season and a couple other deer seasons, like from like the past other deer seasons, I have never had that feeling. Like I said, until like my very first couple years, it was just really weird.
Hey, Falco, did you ever see the recently, there was a guy doing like TikTok videos, and he was going by a mountain in I want to say Alberta, Canada, and he saw a
And
giant on top of the mountain. You know what I'm talking about?
so yes, I did a little research on that guy.
Is he alive or dead? That's what I need to know.
So I think that's bullshit. I want to
Okay,
say everything that's all bullshit.
right.
Someone did a breakdown video of everything of that,
Okay,
and
yeah,
there's like a tower out there,
yeah,
like some type of
yeah,
cell
yeah,
tower that they
yeah,
figured out.
yeah.
That's why probably if it wasn't as foggy as it was, you would be able to see it or some shit like that
Right.
up on
I
top of
think
the
someone
mountain.
else told me that too. I was just interested.
Yeah.
It was some,
So
yeah, it was bad acting too. It was some porn quality acting by the CIA agent that stopped him.
yeah, yeah,
It was really
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
You need
They're
to
like,
turn around.
yeah. You need to turn around.
It was
So
awful, awful.
yeah, I'm
But
gonna really try
like
to find this
shit
video.
like that interests me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that type of weird shit is like it's
I,
interesting. Gets you going and stuff. It's fun. But
really like the whole Bigfoot thing. Like I said, I really do think people are misidentifying
yeah, absolutely. Like
Bigfoot
definitely, man.
when
Definitely.
they're in the woods.
Well, hey, let me ask you something. What do you think about the orbs? Like, I'm not really big into them, and I don't really study them, but
Like
like the orbs that are
UFO
seen in the
wise,
woods.
yes, I would
Yeah,
say.
like, did you? Well, I definitely believe in UFOs, but I'm talking about like when people are in the woods, they see these
Hmm.
orbs, like these like orbs that are like smaller and closer to the
Really?
ground. Yeah, just weird stuff. Like they see it, and some
Hmm.
people have videos of it. But if you listen to like this is my advice for you want to hear some good Bigfoot stuff, go to Sasquatch Chronicles and the guy Wes who actually he was on one of those TV shows where like I survived like some paranormal thing.
Oh,
Those
okay, one of
shows.
those things.
Yeah. Yeah, he was actually on one of them, and him and his brother were in the woods in Washington, and they were attacked by like a tribe, like 3 or 4 big feet, and like
Jesus,
what? Yeah, one of them was like 10 feet tall. He said, and they
10
were they
feet.
were trapped in their car and they couldn't back out, and it had them surrounded. If you like, it's on YouTube. You
Uh-huh.
can find it. His name's Wes Germer, and
Okay.
after that night that he had, because the guy that used to host the Sasquatch Chronicles, the guy's name's Will Jevning. I don't know if anybody's heard of him, but it's listening. But he used to do Sasquatch Chronicles. Now he writes books on the subject, and I'm pretty good
Okay.
friends with him. He was on the show and stuff, and they went over the initial encounter they had, and it's frightening, man. It's frightening. It's like 2 in the morning out there,
Oh my
and they
God.
get popped. He turns his light on. You just see this monster. You know what I mean? Staring at
That's
you.
so big. 10 feet?
Your brain can't handle it, man. Like you can't
Like,
place it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what to do with it.
Oh,
So
bro. So I found this video. I want
yeah,
that I was telling you that I couldn't remember. Like it was somewhere in
yep,
the south. So
yep.
I want to
Oh, good.
play this,
Okay, good.
and I want to see what your opinion is of
Okay,
this. Because I like I said, this is probably one of the few that I actually say I think it's like kind of legit.
okay. Right.
It's it's from Mississippi. It's down in
Okay.
Mississippi. I finally figured out where it was from.
Awesome.
And like I said, this guy owns a property. It's on his property.
Yep.
Oh shit, wrong one. Here it is. Can you see it on my screen?
Yep. It's coming up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Skunk ape. Okay.
So it
Yep.
should be
Yep.
this
I've seen this. I can already tell you I've seen it. Yeah. Yep.
like this is like one of the
Yep.
few.
Yeah. No. This has been around for a while. This is it's definitely like one of the believable ones. Absolutely.
Like this is where I believe, yeah. Like between Patterson Gibb.
Okay.
See, that some bitch stands up and then.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you, this is one of the ones that got my attention too. Absolutely.
Because
But
that's something.
listen, yeah, absolutely. Listen to this. I want you to do this too. As far as the skunk ape, have you seen the picture of the skunk ape in the lady's backyard?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? I think it was Mayaca, Florida.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It looks like an orangutan, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
It looks like, yeah, it's great. That one got me, man. That is
one,
crazy.
I legit think that has to be real.
Yeah,
I
mean,
I think
you can see the body.
I think they
Yeah, I
did like
agree.
I think they did like a thing on it, and they did say it was like a real like creature. I
Yeah, like
believe.
like it was a crazy old lady. Her crops or her garden was getting eaten by the thing, and she literally
Yeah.
sent a letter to the police. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was like this thing is like
Yeah, it's eating my food out in the backyard, and like this. Do you know the Justin Smayar story?
I do not.
Oh, this is the guy that I don't know if you must have heard a little bit about it. He's the guy
I
about
probably
5 years
have.
ago that was releasing the video that said I shot Bigfoot.
Oh wait, yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, Justin Smayar is his name. I actually talked to him. I actually got hold of him one day. I wanted to ask him about it. So I called him. I got him on the phone,
Yeah.
and we talked. And he shot a baby one. He was saying that he shot a baby. You know the story?
Like a small. Wait, was that
Yeah.
supposed to be like a juvenile? Like
Well, here's
Bigfoot?
the story. I'll tell it real quick.
Okay.
He was hunting. He was hunting up at the in Sierras. Okay,
Yeah.
and he wasn't supposed to be. He was hunting illegal, and I forget what he wasn't supposed to be doing, but he wasn't supposed to be hunting. And him and his buddy came up the road, and to the right of them, they had a big clearing, and they saw what they thought was a bear. Okay,
Yeah.
and they said, "Oh, he's like, I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to shoot it from my truck." And his buddy said, "Don't do it. You know, we don't have a tag or whatever the case was." And he's like, "No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the shot."
Yeah.
So they both got out of the truck, and when he looked in through his scope, they both looked through each of their scope, and they both stopped and said, "It's not a bear." And the guy goes, "What are you going to do?" And his buddy didn't even have the chance to tell him not to shoot, and Justin shot the thing. He said he saw the dirt come off it when the bullet hit him, like the dust come off, and the thing hit the deck. And
Oh shit.
they were like, "Holy shit, what did we do?" So they went over and looked at it. Okay, they went and checked it out, and it was a Bigfoot. This is what he's saying now. So
Yeah.
as they're checking this thing out, it's massive. It's 9 feet long. It's it's insane, and they're not going to be able to move it themselves. So this guy's saying to himself, how can I prove? Yeah, well, what happens is, as they're looking at it, all of a sudden they hear a noise beside them, and there's a baby one that's 2 feet tall running around.
Oh.
So this lunatic says what he did was it was going up a hill, and if you see a picture of it, it looked like a little baby Ewok, is how he described it.
Okay.
You would not be able to, yeah, you would not be able to shoot this thing, Falco. Okay, you just couldn't. And this asshole shot it through the neck. This is what he said. He shot it through the neck. Okay, and he was going to keep it. He's going to bring it home. But he said at the time a game warden truck was coming, so they ran back to their car, talked to the game warden, and left. Okay, and they were going to come back and grab everything the next day, and they got hit with a snowstorm. This guy was making deals with like movie producers and Melba Ketchum, who's like one of the world's renowned DNA people.
Oh
and
yeah.
he was making all sorts of deals. And to this day, he still said that he shot this thing and he can't find the body and all this other stuff. But the story is frightening, dude, because he just admits like he shot like a little baby in the throat. You know what I mean? It's like the thing was looking up at him and he shot it. You know what I mean? It's
What
like,
okay, if you're in that situation, what would you do? Like if you saw a Bigfoot in your scope, that's my one question is like, what would you do?
right.
Do you
Right.
do you
Like what?
pull the trigger and
Yeah.
say, I shot the Bigfoot, and then
Right.
you could possibly be like, I'm the one that
Right.
discovered Bigfoot, but
Yep.
also you could be that asshole that killed one and then all of a sudden you get all this backlash thrown on you.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's like one of those. It's like what do you do?
It's a catch-22. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it is. There's no like. I just
There's
can't.
no good way. There's no good outcome
No, there's not.
out of it.
There's not. There's not. And there's stories like this all over the place. Like I heard one on Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell that a guy named Bugsy in Texas shot one and buried it. And he actually called Art Bell, who was the guy that was on the radio, and told him that he had a map to it. And he sent them the map. There's all sorts of like legendary, like weird stories like that. But we're sitting here in 2023. There's no body, dude. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well,
crazy.
here's my other take with like when people say, how come we haven't found a body of Bigfoot or something? So here's my take. How come we don't see bear bones? Like, you know how hard it is to find bear bones? Impossible.
Right. Well, that's like the Harry and the Hendersons. There's pigeons. You ever seen a baby pigeon? You know what I mean? Like that whole thing. Like,
because because bears go to places where people don't go, and same with Bigfoot. They don't go where normally people don't go. So when they die,
you're right about that. Absolutely.
You won't see a body of it.
Yeah, they don't want to be found, so they're not going into places where they would be seen. No, I love Coast to Coast. People were talking about Coast to Coast. Coast to Coast was awesome. Oh my god, you ever listen to it, Felco? Coast to Coast.
Coast to Coast. That doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah. It's Art Bell did it. It was everything from anything paranormal, anything strange. He did a show on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like exorcisms. You can go on YouTube and check it out. It's crazy. But yeah, George Norrie. That's what the guy just said in the George Norrie's great.
I really since you're here, I really want to hear that. I want to play that samurai.
Oh, the samurai. The Sierra sounds. Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, Ron Moorhead, Sierra sound. The Sierra sounds samurai chatter is crazy. Oh, it's creepy as shit. Imagine hearing that in the middle of the night. Oh my god.
I think this is it.
There's audio recording from the 1970s from Northern California. They call them the samurai sound, and it's the weirdest shit ever, man.
Like,
these guys had this spot that they would go into the mountains.
I think it.
And they claim to have recorded sound.
They cut the footage.
There's audio
recording
from the 1970s from.
And I
it's crazy.
I can't find. Thought I found it.
You might have to look it up by Ron Moorhead was his name. Ron Moorhead.
Ron
Moorhead. Yeah. Interesting name. Ron Moorhead.
He wanted more head.
Exactly. He's like one of the big wigs on the Bigfoot scene. He's up there in years. He's probably like 90 now. But
yeah,
he's one of those guys that everyone goes to see at the conventions. Like Jeff Meldrum's the other one, Ron Moorhead.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Mr. Ballin did a thing too. With this. It was like
before men.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Ballin's great.
I love Mr. Ballin.
Yep. He grew up 2 towns over from me. Crazy.
That's wild that he did. Man.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he's I didn't know it until he said it in his I didn't know anything about him until a few years, like a year ago, but
so since we're on the cryptid thing, so what's your take of like the Dog Man? Like that's my newest one. That's my newest one I started getting into. I just started.
So not to go back to Coast, but there was a lady. Her name was Linda Moten Howe. People will probably remember her from the stuff earlier. And Linda Moten Howe was a reporter from Wisconsin, that area, and she started reporting that people were seeing basically a werewolf, Felco. It was a werewolf. Yep, and it's insane. Like people were calling up day after day. I saw a werewolf. And then it started happening in Michigan. So
wasn't that where the Bray? Isn't that the Bray
The
Road.
Bray Beast Road. Yep, the Bray Beast Road. That was that's another thing she did. She wrote a book on it, actually. There's a few books on the subject that are pretty good, and I want to say she passed away recently, but she was a guest on Coast to Coast. But
See,
she
that's
was the one that
another
first
thing
started.
I need to get into is Coast to Coast.
Yeah, Coast to Coast is great. She was great. You can look up a lot of the stuff from just listen to that. I mean, there's crazy things that don't even involve cryptids that are about large holes. This guy named Mel had a hole in his backyard. The government came and took the hole over. They wouldn't let anybody go near the hole in his yard. It was a big, huge story. If you look it up, it's called Mel's Hole. It's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, Mel's Hole. It's one of the craziest stories you'll ever hear. Yeah, Coast to Coast was amazing. Like, that's how I got a lot of my stuff. But yeah, the Dogman is a big thing right now, and a lot of people are talking about it. And I was talking to you earlier about it, and Will is one of the people that really started saying this, that there was 4 different types of Bigfoot. Okay, and Patterson was a type.
Like the orang pendek or something like that.
Yeah, here's what he said. But yeah, I actually, if I had to guess, I would say Orang Pendek has a really good chance of existing. Adam Davies is a guy named, there's an explorer named Adam Davies. If you look him up too, he's an expert, if there can be one, on something that doesn't exist. But he's like an expert on Orang Pendek. And it's very interesting, Felco. It's very interesting stuff. But Will Jevning has said that there's 4 different types of Bigfoot. There's the Patterson type. There's the Texas Bigfoot. If you watch the movie Exists, the one I told you about, Texas
I haven't
Bigfoot,
seen it,
they're more.
but I will watch that.
Yeah, check it out. It's they're more slender. They're not as big as the Patterson ones. They're slender. They're more athletic. They're built like basketball players, not like huge sumo guys.
So they're more skinny and then more tall.
More athletic. Okay. Yeah. And the other one is kind of like Patterson, the first one, the Patterson film, but bigger. And the last one's a Dogman. It's like the third one is more looks like a Neanderthal. The third one looks more like a Neanderthal, and the last one would be the Dogman. So they used to think that the Dogman was actually a species of this Bigfoot, which I don't think it. I think you're right. I think it's probably a Dogman. Yeah, I think there's most likely a Dogman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's its own thing, and they're supposed to be very vicious. People report them being crazy vicious, attacking.
I heard they're aggressive.
Yeah, like the Texas Bigfoot, whatever you want to say, they're aggressive too. Falco, they are known to the Big Thicket. If you do listen to Coast, there's a whole storyline about the Big Thicket. In a camper, a whole tent was attacked and campers went missing.
Shit.
And it's called the Big Thicket, and very interesting. Like you'd love it. It's great. It's a great story.
Jesus.
Crazy. Yeah, but that's Dogman's definitely scary, man.
Yeah, Dogman, I don't really have a take on it yet because, like I said, I just started getting into it, so it's like one of those. It's like I'm trying to listen to some of these stories, so it's like it's almost very hard. It's like hard for me to want, but then at the same time, there's like stories that you hear from these that are like, that's just really fucking weird.
Yeah, like a lot of the Native Americans have these stories of it's nonchalant to them. They're like, we have these things that are around us. Yeah. We have these Bigfoot. They're like, it's not a big deal to them. Like I went to Washington because of Bigfoot. I wanted to go out there and see what it was like out there, and it wasn't a big deal to people. They were like, my uncle saw one. My neighbor saw one.
It's like they talk about it like it's nothing.
Yeah, like I'm like going crazy, and they're like, why are you so excited? I'm like, tell me about it. What it looked like? What did it do? Like, I always ask people. Like, I've interviewed people that have saw them and told me they were around them, and I always ask them. I said, is it related to if you had a guess, did it look like the Patterson film? Because that's the best information we have.
Like the best quality film that we have of it.
Exactly. So you want to qualify it by saying, did it look like the Patterson film? Yeah, it was. Yep. Large breasts and shit, right? It was crazy. There's another guy that's on YouTube, and he said that was actually a massacre and there was other Bigfoot there, and they got killed by the people. And like, there's so many people that are trying to destroy and take away from the fact that this could be a real thing. You know,
Yeah.
it's
There's a
MK
there's a
Davis.
there's a military base. I was listening, I think it was to Joe Rogan. I think it was another Joe
Yeah,
Rogan podcast.
yeah,
Um
yeah,
they were talking about some military base. They have like I think it's like in South Carolina, maybe North Carolina. I can't remember. It's from
yeah,
one of the military bases. I want to say it was like from like either north south, but I like I said I can't remember. But they actively have like the sergeant or whatever will tell like the guy like they will run into Bigfoot like out there all
yeah,
the time,
yeah,
and it
no,
might be
yeah. Like,
Washington or something like that, but I can't remember. Like I said, but yeah, they have like active like run-ins with it, and they know about it, and it's the military that knows about it,
yeah.
and it's just like
Like,
really weird.
like besides just the encounter itself, it's about the person that's telling you the encounter too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, is he reliable? I mean, is he scratching himself? Is he full of meth? Does he have meth bugs flying on him? You know what I mean? You got to look at the person and be like, is he, is he okay in the head? And like, I've got some weird interviews with people that, I saw
Outdoor. I
Bigfoot, and
forgot.
then it was yelling at my mother, and
Holy shit. I
yeah,
forgot.
crazy.
Outdoor Loser. He's from Washington State.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
see,
said
that's
he just said in chat, I live here and people have many people who have he knows
yeah,
many
the
people who have
frogman.
seen it.
Yeah, see, it's not even. Someone just mentioned the frogman too. Is he talking about? Is Bunny talking about the Ohio frogman? It's supposed to be like a frog type thing in Ohio, and
Really?
yeah, like a. It's crazy. I can't even describe it. It's like
I've never heard of this
li-
one.
yeah, a humanoid frog. A
What?
frogman. Yeah, yeah. It's you can look it up online, Felco. I looked into it. It's like a humanoid frog. I believe it's called the Ohio frogman or something. And
See, I know
yeah,
like
the
the
Loveland.
Ohio
That's what it
grass
is.
man.
Yep, Bunny's right. Bunny just said it. It's the Loveland Frogman. That's what I remember
Oh,
that.
Loveland
See?
Frogman.
Yep. And yep, good catch,
Might rip
Bunny. That's
might rip your face off.
yeah, like just it looks like Ellie just said sounds cute. The pictures of it look like a cute frog, but I don't know how cute a frog can be when it's like 6 feet tall running at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
Like
might need that
that's
shotgun
gonna
in
be
handy.
all the skinwalker. Skinwalkers are scary bastards.
That's a is it like the Skinwalker and Wendigo type? Like,
Yeah,
aren't they
like
like on
there's
the
a whole.
same?
Yeah, like there's a difference with the different Indian tribes and stuff, but basically, I mean, it's frightening what they can do. They can take the shapes of animals or other
Dude, they can
humans and mimic
shapeshift
their
into
voices.
yeah.
Like, yeah, to get you to open up your door and stuff, they'll say your name, and
Bro.
it's frightening, man. I watched
Dude,
a
that's
special on it like
scary.
last week, and they say a lot of people report it being a like a humanoid with like a deer skull for a head.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, dude, that is frightening, man.
Dude,
That is
I couldn't
totally
imagine.
frightening. Imagine that in the woods, seeing that thing coming at you.
Dude,
Holy
I
shit.
no, I
Yeah.
wouldn't.
Like, that's way scarier than a Bigfoot coming at you, dude.
Dude,
Way
oh
scarier.
my god. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there's like, what about ghosts? What's your thing on ghosts? Have you ever had
So,
experience,
so,
Felco?
so
No?
I have I don't think active, well, it's not active anymore. I did have one at my house currently. Um I
Jeez.
I've never had a ghost experience until I moved into this house. I'd never
Really?
had sleep paralysis. I've never had anything like that diagnosed with. Um, so this is like a little crazy for me. So like my bedroom doors upstairs, they're probably
Mm-hmm.
about 6 feet apart or so. Anyways,
Mm-hmm.
there was one night. So this was like probably like 5 years ago, close to it. Um, my sister used to live with me, and we both had the same experience, and but at separate times. Um, So I was in a deep sleep, and I'm a deep sleeper. So like literally, I sleep through tornado warnings, like sirens going off. I will sleep through everything.
Lucky you. Lucky you.
Right? But this one night, I was in a dead sleep. All of a sudden, I just got woken up, and I literally felt like someone was on top of me, choking the living hell out of my like putting their hands around my throat and put all their weight on top. And I'm like thrusting at my neck, like trying to get it off. And I'm also like wailing. I'm also like throwing punches at nothing at the same time, like to try to get it off.
Yeah.
And
That's
what's crazy
frightening.
is it literally let go right before I passed out. Like I was starting to like pass out, like I was starting to fade, and then it let go. And
Damn.
and like I was like, and literally you could feel like the hands around your like my neck, like when it was doing that. Like you felt hands too. It
That
was
is
so
frightening,
weird.
dude.
And then
Dude, that is frightening.
so I told my sister that, and then my sister said, "Yeah, I had the same thing like happen like not too long ago." And I was like,
Wow.
"What the fuck?" And
Well, the
then
scariest thing, that's scary, dude.
and then then my other experience here was so okay. My sister is prone to sleepwalk. Okay. And like I said, our bedroom doors in my upstairs bedrooms, because I only have 2 bedrooms. They're like I said, they're about 6 to 7 feet apart. Maybe a little farther. Anyways, and this is before I had cats too. Before I got my cats. And so I used to sleep with the door shut all the time. And like I said, I was in a deep sleep, but then I just had this weird fuck. I had this weird feeling of me being watched. I woke up, my bedroom door is halfway open, and I see a black figure standing there. Like in like right where the crack is. Like of my door
Wow.
open. And then all of a sudden, my door's shut. This shuts. And in my nightstand, okay, so this is all in a quick thing too. So in my nightstand, that's like a centimeter from my hand.
Yep.
That's where I keep my gun at. So I swung that sumbitch open, grabbed my gun. I sprint out of my room.
Yep.
Now, like I said, our bedroom doors are like very close. By the time I would have heard my sister's door shut. I never heard it shut. So I'm granted you have Falcor with his Glock running around in his boxers, still like fucking half asleep, waking up. And I'm like sprinting around my house, adrenaline is flying, and I'm literally going through all of my rooms of my house. Like I throw all the lights on as I'm going through every room. And I'm like, better come the fuck out or I'm just gonna be blasting.
That is scary, dude. That is scary, man.
Nothing. And there was nothing. And then oh my god, it was like I said, that was like my only few like ghost encounters, like paranormal.
To me, like the scariest thing to me is like demon stuff about demons and shit.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the Bon Scott demon?
Probably because I'm into all that shit.
Yeah, it's the AC/DC demon story. There's a whole story of it about a kid in Oklahoma. Him and his buddies they thought they were summoning Bon Scott, the singer from AC/DC.
Yes. It's been a long time since I heard this story, but yeah.
Well, what happened was they ended up summoning the Zozo demon, the Zuzu.
Yes, I'm familiar with it.
This demon started pretending it was Bon Scott to like get on these kids' good side, and like they had him doing shit for him, and like they were moving the planchette, like, and he was pretending to be Bon Scott, answering questions like Bon Scott, and the other kid that was with him didn't want to do it anymore, and the demon got pissed off at him, was calling him a pussy and shit, and he was yelling back at the demon.
Oh my God.
And I guess the demon ended it by saying, "You're done. Like you'll die tonight." And his buddy died on the way home, got in a car accident and died. And then yeah, the kid freaked out and put the board away. But he had a fucked up life after that, and he was going from town to town doing construction work. And he was doing construction work one day. He dug up a bottle of something, and it was like a bird in a bottle, and it was a decomposing bird. And something in that made him go back and take out his Ouija board and start doing it again. And a bunch of other shit happened to him. And it gets really involved. Felko, have you heard? Yeah, have you heard any of that story?
Yeah. I heard.
Crazy,
I'm
right?
very familiar with the Zozo.
Yeah,
Demon.
that's what frightens me. That is the shit that like will keep me up at night. That
So
shit.
here's my other like really weird like I want to say it might have been. I don't know if it is a demon.
Yeah.
But at my parents' house that I lived at, I've never told my parents this. I never told my sister about this because it was just so weird. So, now this was really stupid of me. I did at one point pray to the devil, and I'm very religious.
Yeah.
And there was one time I did pray to the devil. I prayed to Satan one time.
Wow.
And because I was in a very weird, dark place. Not really dark place, but I was just in a weird place, I guess. Anyways, this was like not too long before I moved. Probably a couple of years before I moved over here. Anyways, like I was laying horizontally across my bed. I was watching like a video or something on YouTube. And oh my god, this is so scary. Like so weird. So my feet are dangling off the bed. Like I said, I'm laying horizontally. So across my bed. So my feet are hanging off the one side of the bed. Like my legs are. I literally felt two hands like smack the back 3 times, smack the back of your thighs like 3 times.
Oh, creepy as shit, dude.
This dude like and then
that is creepy.
like you literally felt that, and I look back and there's nothing. Like immediately I look back and there's nothing. And then there was one other time I was dead asleep. I was going to bed. It was in the dead of night, and it was just weird that night. And then right before I was like one of those, it was like I was half asleep, but you just couldn't get to sleep, but you were just getting there, you know?
Yeah. Yep, I know that feeling.
Yeah. All of a sudden, my bedroom door, all of a sudden you just heard on my bedroom door, like something like that.
Damn.
And it was so loud. And I was like, oh my god, this thing is going to wake up my fucking whole family because of how loud this thing was banging on my door. But no one heard it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Only me. Did you think it was going to stick with you? Did you think it was going to like follow you because you like prayed for it, or like what?
Yeah, it's all like I don't know if I'm being followed by something or I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Falco, the scariest thing didn't happen to me, but it was a story I heard. Have you heard of Wampatuck State Park? It's like a big state park here in Massachusetts. It's like Indian.
Yeah, Wampatuck. Yeah.
Yep. Well, a lot of people go camping there, and it's like a big spot. Well, there was a girl I knew growing up, and her father would go down there. Great, he's a great guy. Would take his kids camping. He went with a girl that I grew up with. We were like best friends growing up, and they went camping, and they were supposed to be gone for 2 days, and they came back the next day. So I was happy she was back because I hung out with her, and I'm like, oh, I'm glad you're home, and I'm like, what happened? And she wouldn't talk about it. So she had a brother that was a little bit older than us. And I asked him, I'm like, why is she home? Like, what happened? And he's like, I'll tell you, but don't tell anybody I told you. I'm like, what? And he's like, my father thinks he's crazy. And I'm like, what? What happened? And I guess in the middle of the night, he took his daughter to the bathroom. She was like 12 years old or whatever at the time. Walked her to the bathroom, from the tent.
Yeah.
And he waited outside for her. And she came back out, and she's like, oh, there's a creepy guy in there. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, there's a creepy guy in the girl's bathroom. He was yelling stuff to me in a different language. And the father's like, what? And he went in there, and there was nobody in there, Falco. Nobody.
Oh, my God.
So he's like, all right, are you sure? And she was maybe half asleep. So he's like, maybe she dreamed it. I made her go up to go to the bathroom. Maybe she's just, whatever. So they go back to their tent. They shut the tent up. And he said that he said he was sleeping in the middle of the night, and he heard something like a dog whimpering. Okay, so he woke up. He didn't know where it was. He woke up and he looked, and it was his daughter. His daughter, her eyes were wide as saucers, and she was whimpering, looking at the tent. So he's like, what the fuck? So he literally grabs his flashlight, puts it on the side of the tent, and what does he see? He sees where a hole was cut, and he sees a guy's tongue sticking through the hole of the tent.
Oh, my God.
Okay. So he gets up, he opens up the tent, he runs out, there's nobody there.
What the fuck?
Nobody near the tent. He said they sat there for about a minute, and he said in the distance he heard just crazy laughter in the distance.
Dude.
He said he packed up his kid and they left. That story frightens me to this day.
Dude, it's so creepy that God,
yep. It was a tongue. It was a big tongue. The guy couldn't believe it. He said he was so scared that he almost didn't go out and see who it was. That's how scared he was.
Dude, yeah.
That's scary, man.
Dude, that's fucking scary.
Yeah,
that's creepy.
Yeah, that's
holy hell.
That's crazy. Yeah, so she still tells that story to this day. Like, she didn't talk about it when we were kids, but now she talks about it and tells people about it and shit. It's crazy.
Before I bought this house, before I bought my townhouse, I was about to be a fucking crazy ass and buy the Exorcist house that was for sale in St. Louis. Because it was up for sale at the time. And that's where the fucking movie The Exorcist came from. They had the whole exorcism, like the kid was, like the boy was there and everything in this house. Yeah. And to this day, the demon is still in that house. They have yet to get rid of it. And I was going to be the crazy asshole that was going to possibly buy that house. I was looking into it just to see if it just to see what would happen if I did.
Yeah, like it's crazy, man. Like, I'm just thinking about this stuff. Like, if everyone's having stories like this, if we're having stories like this, and there's other people telling stories like this, then how do we, like, some of them has to be like true. There has to be a thing for it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking, like, there's explanations, like, with that story. It could have been a lunatic that was, chasing a little girl around, stuck his tongue to the tent. But who knows what it really was? In this story, the same thing. There was a story Mr. Ballin did in Massachusetts with this girl. I don't know if you remember this, but you probably do. It was a girl. She was dating a kid in high school, and it was getting serious. And her mother started getting sick with cancer.
Okay.
And she broke it off, and the kid didn't handle it well. And go forward 6 months, and the mother dies, and the father's taking care of the two daughters, and they're coming home from work or whatever, and there's pennies glued to the ceiling, and there's notes left from the mother. Like, they think the mother's trying to contact them from the dead, and this kept going on. And the girl one day came home from school, and her father wasn't home yet, and she went upstairs, and there was someone sitting in her room, and she couldn't figure out who it was. And it was the boyfriend dressed up like the mother in the mother's clothes, holding a big knife.
What?
Yeah, this is a true story. It happened in Massachusetts.
That's
scary.
So,
Yep, he chased her. He chased her outside. The neighbors got involved,
Oh
and
my
they
God.
saved her. They saved her. She didn't die. The father got stabbed, I think. And
Jeez.
yep, he did a special on it. Mr. Ballin did it. It was crazy. I never heard it before. And
Give me one second,
crazy.
brother. Give me 1 second. I have to go pee.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah. I guess George doesn't like the demon stories, George Glass.
That was all right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
only a special night today and Tuesdays.
Yeah, no, we deal with a demon all the time named Lorne. You know what I mean? You can switch demons if you want. You know, the pedo demon. You can switch
demon.
it. The pedo demon of fucking Maine, Lorne. But like I was
What
saying
a
before,
fucking
that
cocksucker.
yeah, that place that he lives near, there's like a bunch of. If you look it up online, there's a bunch of rumors about that Skowhagen place. I think it's called. Like Satanists and shit. So that's crazy. Yeah, Lorne's in. Lorne's a fucking. He believes in God, but he doesn't practice what he preaches. I think that's what he does.
Yeah, like, oh my God. Like, he's oddly religious, but,
Yeah.
but, oh yeah, since you're here, I want to play this.
Yeah.
It's a Vietnam, it's like apparently soldiers had an encounter.
Rock apes? You talking about rock apes?
Probably.
Yeah. Rock
I don't
apes in
know.
Vietnam. Yeah.
It's called Forgotten History. It's from the channel Forgotten History.
I love that.
I haven't seen the story, but like been wanting to hear it.
Cool.
And I'm glad that you're here.
Good.
So
I love it.
so let's do it.
Yeah, it's probably rock apes, but I love this shit, so let's hear it.
It's like something.
In 1964, the United States entered into the conflict in Vietnam in an attempt to prevent the spread of communism. Foreign policy, economic interests, national fears, and geopolitical strategies were also major factors for the invasion of Vietnam. During the war, U.S. and Communist Viet Cong and North Vietnamese Army forces stalked each other in the jungle. But they were not alone. Something was stalking them. What mysterious creature was witnessed by both sides and feared by the locals?
It's kind of creepy looking. I'm not gonna lie. That
Are these accounts credible? What similarities are there between this creature and other legends around the world?
Hello. Have you seen have you seen the one video of the orangutan fishing with a spear in the wild?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Oh my God, that's kind of freaky. That's so freaky
That's
looking.
awesome. Well, that's how like people think Bigfoot would be like with us, using that type of shit. So it's funny that you said that.
It's like crazy.
Well, I'm Colin Heaton, former soldier, Marine Corps scout sniper, history professor.
I've been watching a lot of stuff on gorillas lately, actually. Now that you
really?
just mentioned that. Yeah, like that. They're like you can't measure their strength. It's like you can't measure how like powerful they are. And
if you think about it, like so like chimps, they're fucking hella strong.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah.
I want to say probably gorillas are like probably quadruple. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean they're so dangerous and they're so fast. Like they'll show them beating their chest, and their
That's
hands are
scary.
just like so fast. It's there was a gorilla that a lady was visiting this gorilla in the zoo like every day for like
Oh
10
yeah, I
years.
did a
He went
video
there.
of that. I did a
Oh, you
video
saw
encounter.
that?
It was
Yeah,
like one
that's
of my
crazy.
animal encounters that I
Oh,
did,
good. You
and
good?
like this gorilla ragdolled the shit out.
Yeah, like broke around and bit her 100 times or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's insane, dude. That's
yeah.
insane. Like I used to
Destroyed 'em.
watch those these videos, like just even them finding the billy apes, like those new apes they found
Oh yeah,
recently.
the Bondo ape,
Yeah,
or
exactly,
yeah,
exactly, dude. It's like it's so
that like
crazy what they
stood
could
like
find with that.
they were like 6 feet tall, could walk
Yeah, like,
bipedally.
no, like that's basically a Bigfoot right there, dude. That's what you're
Yeah,
dealing with. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I wouldn't
They
fuck with
also
that
had
thing.
they said from what I heard, because Joe Rogan is obsessed with them. They have
Oh,
like a
I love it.
crest. They have like a crest, like a gorilla does, like in their like skull, but it's not a gorilla at all. It's just a very big chimp.
Nice. That's
Yeah, they have
crazy.
like yeah, but like in their skull, like once when they die, you can see like it's almost like a mohawk thing that they have, like a crest thing
Really,
on the top of
that's
their
nuts.
head. Yeah.
A book author,
That's
and we've
crazy.
answered these questions and other
So I love watching
issues on this
Rogan
segment.
clips and stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Rogan, he's awesome.
He's introduced me to a lot of like books and stuff, like the God part of the brain. I read that book; it was crazy. And
Jeez.
just the whole stuff on DMT getting released into our bodies, and
Yeah.
it makes us like euphoric when you're gonna pass away. You think you're seeing stuff, and that's why he thinks that's why people think they see the afterlife while they're dying, because it's actually
Oh
DMT
yeah, that's
being used.
like a lot of
Yeah,
people when they die, they said, "Oh look here, I see
yeah,
Jesus,"
yeah, exactly. Well,
or "Jesus
that's
spoke to me," or something like that.
well, that's kind of like the God. There's this book, The God Part of the Brain, and it's kind of like we made this whole God thing up to make ourselves feel better, because there has to be something after this. You know what I mean? That's kind of like what the book was saying. I don't agree or disagree. Like that's what the book was trying
Yeah,
to put out there.
that's why I'm a God-fearing man, and so
Just in case.
exactly,
Listen,
There have been
I'm not
several
willing to piss anybody off with that
histories
power
of
if they have it. So
exactly.
and of primate
I'll hedge my bets.
continent. While North America has
Yeah.
Bigfoot, or the Sasquatch,
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I get a lot of that stuff from
have they yet
Rogan. He's like,
also known
he's
as
very interesting. I mean, there's some shit I can't watch on there, but usually it's good stuff on there.
There is a similar
There's a guy he has on his podcast ever so often. His name is Forrest Galante.
Oh, I watch him all the time. He's great. He's awesome.
I love him.
Okay. Yep. He believes in the giant sloth. He thinks the giant sloth's still real.
Oh my god!
That's awesome.
I really hope that some bitch is real.
Yeah, me too.
I mean,
That's
it
awesome.
is real, but I hope it's still alive.
Yeah,
province
that's.
of Vietnam, as well as
I really do
those
too.
of
It's
Thailand
awesome.
and
I think
Cambodia.
that is a good chance, and the Uring Pendek has a good chance.
Yeah, and then hopefully the thylacine too.
Yeah. Yep.
The Tasmanian tiger.
Yeah.
He really thinks. Forrest Galante thinks for the thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger, he's thinking it's probably he was thinking there's probably a small population of them in Papua New Guinea. And
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And US.
Yeah,
and that's
great.
where
like
their territory was like from up there, then all the way down to like obviously the Tasmania.
Yeah. Did you see he has his own podcast too, Forrest Galante. He has his own.
Oh, does he?
Podcast.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know it until recently. I was on YouTube and I found it. I started watching it, and it's all about the shit that we're talking about now, like stuff that he believes. And
yeah,
he's an adventurer. They call him like modern day adventurers. Him and Adam, the other guy I told you about, Adam Davies. He's another one that does the same shit. He went into the Congos and looked for the dinosaur and stuff like that. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah, you can look him up, Adam Davies. It's very interesting.
Yeah, because they think there's like a fucking dinosaur in the Congo, like
yeah, yep,
the
the
Mobamble,
brontosaurus.
the Mobamble.
Yeah, the Mumble. Yeah, remember the movie Baby? Remember that movie when we were kids?
Yeah.
There's a movie about it. Yeah. So
And then
it's funny.
there was like a Belgian pilot that took a picture of a 50-foot snake in the Congo.
Snake. Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. I saw that. Yep. There's supposedly a picture of a I don't know if it's still around where
They said
but like
it
a
had
guy.
a head of 3 feet wide too.
Yeah. Well,
It's
some of these
fucking
anacondas they call a
that's
30 feet.
fucking
You know what I mean?
massive.
Like, think about the Everglades, though, man. Florida. These people going into their backyards and there's 25-foot pythons in their backyard. You know what I mean? You wake up and there's a 25-foot snake in your backyard trying to
go
eat your
fuck
dog.
off.
Yeah, like
It's like
it's
the
crazy.
redneck. It's like the redneck
Yeah.
adventure park.
Well, what they're doing, Falco, is they have the pythons at night. Like the roads get hot during the day. They heat up because of the sun. The
so they
pythons will go
bask.
onto the road, yeah, to keep warm. And so cars are running these things over now. They're fucking crushing 15-foot pythons, and they're getting stuck in people's cars and shit.
Yeah, because that's all they want is warmth.
Yeah.
For humans.
Yeah, it's insane, dude.
All the reports from these respective countries and
yeah, and that's easily, there could be monkeys out in the Everglades, too, because you have these exotic pets, and that hurricane hit, and everything got, like, ruined, so, they hit the bricks,
find, what was it else they find? Something crazy. King cobras! You found some cobras down in the Everglades?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. That's nuts.
What else did they find? Oh, yeah, now crocodiles they found?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's like, what the fuck? Who the hell finds a Nile crocodile in the Everglades?
Oh, it's crazy.
Dude, that would be the worst thing for us.
Oh, yeah.
If Nile crocodiles ran rampant down in the Everglades, it's game over. It's game over.
I had
we'll have Gustav 2.0.
Oh, Gustav's awesome. I had this was funny story. I had an Asian water monitor as a pet.
Oh, really?
If you look them up. Yeah, I got it when I was like, in my 20s. And I had it for 6 years. It got so big that like I had to get rid of it. It had its own room.
Yeah.
It was almost 8 feet long from nose to tail.
Oh, yeah.
And it was insane. I had to get rid of it. No one would take it. So the Rhode Island Zoo came to my house and took it.
Really?
Yeah, it was so big, and it was tame, too. Like, I had it tame. Awesome. Kids would come over. Yeah, that's kids really in the neighborhood would come over and take pictures with it and hang out with it.
Well, and, that's like, what is it, that one show that used to be on Animal Planet, I think it was called Fatal Attractions. And this one guy had like 6 or so Nile monitors or something like that.
Yep.
And then he ended up dying. And, but the problem was he let his monitors roam the house. So basically, they had free range of the house. So they were like, all right, this is our territory. And ended up, the dude, I think, died somehow. Or they might have killed him. I can't remember. But I know the cops, like, his work did a welfare check. Like, they're like, this is unusual for this guy to miss this many amount of days. So they called the police. They came over. And apparently, then after when the guy died, the monitors obviously haven't eaten in a while, so they ended up eating him.
Yep. Of course they did.
Yep.
Like they're all cousins to the Komodo dragon, and those things would eat a human in a second. So
that's one of my favorite reptiles, Komodos.
Yeah, those things are awesome.
They're like real life dinosaurs. Well, really the crocodiles, but like it's crazy to see like Komodo dragon being the apex. They're like the only, like the Komodo dragon is like the only area like of Komodo, like that area is like where the Komodo dragon is like the top The top dog.
Yeah. Well, they have they have venom that they put in their teeth. You know what I mean? When they bite someone, they bite something and they follow them into the woods. Yeah.
Yeah, they stalk them. They stalk them, and then they let you die. And then, dude, that's so fucked that they'll just bite you and then just stalk you the entire time.
Yeah.
That's so
crazy. Well, like I had this thing in my, I take it to my parents' house. I take the lizard over to my parents' in-ground pool, and this thing would hang out by the pool, and my mother just was like, all right, kid, you know what? You're getting rid of this thing. It's too big. The neighbors are complaining. Like, it's got to go. So I had no permit for it. I was supposed to have an exotic pet permit for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like my father was a cop in the town at that time. He was like, listen, this thing's got to go. It's too big. Like we can't. Like, what are you feeding it? Like it's gonna eat a dog, someone's dog or something. So he's like, get rid of it. I called. Yeah, I had to get the Rhode Island Zoo finally to come down. Like, you can come visit it anytime you want. I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
They took it. They were like, holy shit. Like, what did you have for a container? What'd you keep it in? I go, I gave it its own room. I tiled the floor. Like, I did hard tile. I made a room for it. It was easy to clean up after it. It had everything it wanted, so it just kept growing. It kept growing and growing.
Jesus.
So, yeah, I had it when it was 6 inches long.
And then it just blew up.
Yeah, it ended up being 8 feet long. So
damn.
Yeah, it was huge.
That thing was a monster.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. You can see him on TV, and it's like I'll see one once in a while. Like, I used to have that thing as a pet, but they were dangerous. Like they would snap those old those wooden rulers and
not the legs, those tails. They'll whip that tail.
Oh yeah, it was snapping it was crazy. It was breaking the legs to tables and houses and shit with its tail. It was so dangerous, and like I was like a 25-year-old kid. Like I didn't care. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. You know what I mean?
Right.
And, they're like, no, you got to get rid of this thing. It's to the point where it's dangerous now.
I used to have before sheep died, I had a Goliath bird-eating tarantula. That's something.
Did you really?
Yeah, that I would feed it mice. I would feed a spider a fucking mouse. That's some bitch.
That's crazy.
That spider, that tarantula would hit mice so fucking hard that their eyes would pop out.
That's crazy.
And then the most sadistic part was the tarantula would walk around with it in its fangs, would walk around the cage with it in its mouth. Like in its fangs. It'll do a circle, do a lap around, like a victory lap.
What the fuck? That's crazy.
Although I was just dragging it, it'll just do a victory lap. and then it'll go into its thing and then do its thing with it.
Oh my god.
I was like, what an asshole. I was like doing a victory lap. Look what I just did.
Oh my god.
But the thing was that really got me was they have those hairs. So whenever they get scared, they'll kick those hairs on their abdomens and shoot them up at you.
Really?
And it's worse than fiberglass. So there would be time you would almost have to wear a mask. When you would have to handle it. If you're going to sometimes she would do it when you open the cage, and all of a sudden you'll just get showered in with hairs, and sometimes they'll get in your mouth, or and you're just done for. You're just done for if it gets in your mouth.
I've never had a spider or anything as a pet. I never went that route.
I hated it.
Yeah.
The thing was an asshole. The thing was an asshole all the time. It would always be defensive. Everything would piss it off. It would hiss at you too. I was like, this is a giant spider with a fucking pissed off attitude.
I had a lot of crazy pets, but my favorite one was an English bulldog. That was my favorite pet.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? It seems normal. I had an English bulldog named Chewy. It was awesome. It was the best thing ever.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely fun. Those are expensive though. It cost me $3,000 to get it, and then I had to get an operation for its breathing. Yeah, it was tough. I loved him, but he cost me some dough.
Yeah,
it was tough.
No shit.
Sometimes science
Yeah,
can't explain
Lorne
these
wouldn't have paid
mysteries
for it.
without
Lorne would have got rid of him. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, Lorne. God damn it.
Similar stories were
He
told for
would.
centuries about the wild
Lorne and
North
his
Pole
chickens. I'm telling you, man,
identified the
he
orangutan
ate those
as
chickens,
animal culture.
Falco. I'm telling you,
Could this
Yeah,
he
creature
ate them chickens.
I am 100% on board
be
with
these
that.
species as yet uncategorized?
He
He really
ate those
did.
things.
Of the mountain gorilla.
Debbie's reaction.
Here's a Bondo ape right here. Here's a picture of one.
Oh, yep.
Here's a
Fucking
Bondo.
crazy.
Look at the size of that goddamn thing.
In Africa, which Europeans had heard of.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Will rip your
Yeah,
dick off.
Took place in the
yeah. My next pet will be like a French bulldog or an English bulldog.
I was about to say, don't say it was going to be a chimp. That would be like, for the love of God, don't say chimp.
I can't do the exotic pets anymore. I'm too old for that shit, man. I
I was
gotta
about
do
to say,
regular pets.
I would massacre you if you got a chimp. I'd be like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, no, that whole chimp thing's fucking scary as hell, dude. That's
like I said in one of my Jesus, what a horrible voice crack I just did. Like I said in one of my streams, I was like, if you have a chimp, there is something mentally wrong with you.
Yeah, that's crazy. Weren't they giving the chimp Vicodins and shit? And
yeah, the one I did a story on, they were dousing it with Xanax, like every night for like they would give it Xanax, like a whole tablet of Xanax.
Yeah, it's like the most addictive thing besides heroin to give to somebody, like alcohol and barbiturates.
Especially fucking a chimp. Oh,
that's insane, dude.
Especially like how we treat our like the orcas, like in captivity at SeaWorld and stuff, like giving them Valium, muscle relaxers and shit. It's like,
dude, did you see that?
No.
Did you see that documentary with
Blackfish?
What's it called? Black. Oh yeah. Oh my God.
I haven't seen it yet, but I know a lot of stuff. I know a lot of stuff. Like
frightening, dude. That's frightening. If you like, it's almost unwatchable. It's so bad.
Yeah, that's why I don't have the courage to watch it because it's like I love killer whales so much. Like they're like right up there with like how much I'm very passionate with sharks. I am super passionate about them.
Yeah, like that's crazy. I watched the like the SeaWorld places give me the creeps now. They didn't when I was a kid, obviously, because I didn't know better. But now it's like it's just like a creep show, you know.
Now, yeah, exactly. It's like now that you know, like the dark stuff about like SeaWorld and stuff, it's like I don't really want to support them.
Right, it's crazy.
Well, now that I know, it's like when you see like a orca with its like dorsal fin that's like flopped over, you know that it's all depressed and everything. And it's like Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I was watching a show on you know, they can't keep great white sharks in captivity. You know?
Yeah, it's virtually impossible because, like, I think the longest one that was in captivity is like a week or 4 days.
No, it's 285 days. Look it up. I watched it the other day. It was 285 days.
Because they're virtually impossible to keep in captivity.
The last one lasted. The last one they tried was in Japan. They have a crazy SeaWorld in Japan. They just tried it in 2016, and it lasted 3 days, and it died.
Yeah. Well, because the thing is, it doesn't matter how big of a tank they give them in. They need live prey, and they won't eat dead things. They have to have live prey.
Yep.
And so basically, and plus on top of that, they'll like just stress themselves out so bad that they just die like immediately. And it's like very sad.
Yeah, that like they were showing how like a bad shape it was in, and like
they keep running into they'll also just keep repeatedly just running into like the plexiglass, no, not plexiglass, but like like
glass, right,
like they'll just keep running into the glass and stuff, and like they just won't eat at all. That's the other thing. So they basically starve them. They'll just stress themselves out, and then on top of like they will starve themselves on top of that.
Dude, those dolphins are little pains in the asses too. By the way, you see how vicious those fuckers can be? Dolphins.
They're fucking assholes.
Yeah, they're like knocking surfers off their surfboards. They're literally trying to fucking rape females on the like. It's crazy, dude. Dolphins are out of their minds.
That's why I think it's like dolphins and like, oh my god, dolphins are like something else. They're
little assholes. They're little assholes. They really are.
They really are. That's why I love killer
Yeah.
whales, because killer whales, it's just so fascinating because there's no documented attack on a human outside
Yeah.
of the wild. Like they don't do it. They just don't do it.
Did you see that movie? Like it's an older movie. It's about a killer whale that freaks out and starts killing people. And because like a whaler guy like killed its baby, and it comes after the guy. It's like Jaws and killer whale. I think it's
almost like a
called
Moby
Orca.
Dick.
Yeah, but it's like I think Bo Derek was in it actually. And
What? I think I've seen. It sounds familiar. That movie.
Yeah, Orca. I think he's right. I think he's saying it. It's like Orca the killer whale or some shit. It was like Jaws, and every time it would go to kill somebody, crazy music would come on, and it was going after this one guy, dude. It like went to his house because he lived like in like this house that had like stilts in the water, and the orca's literally knocking the house into the water and shit. It was crazy. It's a crazy movie. Yeah, but those things are freaky. Definitely.
I love like how like killer whales play with seals. They'll like launch them like 80 to 100 feet up in the air.
I was watching one of them earlier. I was watching a video on it. It was playing with a dead dolphin. It was smacking it with its tail, and the dolphin was literally going 100 yards in the air. It was crazy. Those things are so powerful.
They really are. They're oh my god.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh yeah, this is the rock ape.
What he saw was a rock ape.
Yeah, the rock apes. That's what I was telling you about. Yeah, Vietnam, that was a huge thing that they were seeing these things, the rock apes. They're like smaller versions of the big feet that we see now. And they're like more vicious and shit. Yeah.
Oh, so they're like a little more aggressive.
Yeah, like those, like I'll tell you.
Very
like,
territorial, it seems like.
Yeah, like I'm getting ready to go to bed in a few minutes, Falco, but definitely you have to check out the movie Exists. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
have you seen it's on not YouTube, Hulu. It's called Sasquatch. It's about this guy.
Yeah, the weed thing.
Yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. It was really good. It was really good.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I highly recommend
really
anyone
good.
that's watching this watch that on Hulu.
It's
Sasquatch. It's so good.
Yeah, it's really good. You think you're going into one thing, but it's a whole different story, and it's like it gets you. It's a really good story.
It's
but
so
dude,
good.
Like I've watched a bunch of these like ridiculous Bigfoot movies. Like they're all crazy, but Exist is like it's actually a decent horror movie too. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like they make it really scary, and they give you a good look at the things. They did a great job with the special effects on them and stuff at the end of the movie. You get a really good look at its face, and it's really it's taking place in Texas in the Big Thicket, and that's like where they're the most aggressive. That's where they're supposed to be like really territorial, and if you go in there, like they're not letting you out. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole thing. It's on like Tubi, free Tubi. Thing. It's on there for free, so if you want to watch it, check it out. And,
for sure. Yeah, I'm definitely watching it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed, but I had a good time chatting with you guys. And,
it was good seeing you, my friend, and having you on here and telling your story.
Yeah, we'll definitely do it again. Like I have some more Bridgewater Triangle stuff we can get into, and like the satanic shit. Crazy.
I know Decon. He was saying he was hoping to get on here too. So I can probably have at some point I can have you and him on here, then we can just have like an all day fucking thing.
Yeah, no, I'd love it. I definitely I think I was talking to him earlier. Yeah, I would love to to do that.
He's a very cool guy. I really like Decon.
Yeah.
Decon.
Yeah, he was I forget what it was, but it was like he was interested in something I was talking about, and we went back and forth earlier.
Yeah, he's all into like the same stuff that we're into, so.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. And I actually have believe it or not, I have some of the actual police files from the my father was a detective for a few years.
Yeah.
And he has a couple of the files from the actual murder cases from the satanic stuff.
Oh,
I actually
shit.
I got copies of them, and not the whole case. I don't have
Yeah,
but I
for
have
sure.
like the overview. I have the overview of the case. I don't have like crime photos or anything, but I have just some of the notes from one of the detectives that was investigating it. Some of the names that were involved that they thought were involved and what actually happened. They killed supposedly they sacrificed a girl under the bleachers at the high school.
Holy
And
shit.
yeah, and she was a 17-year-old girl, and they like literally sacrificed her to Satan. So
Wow.
yeah, they were complete wackos. So yeah, my father was like his friend was like the detective that was doing it, and I have some of the paperwork. So
So total
if we
fucking
can be,
wackadoos.
yeah, it was like it's a kid. She's 17. The guy that did it was like 20. You know what I mean?
God
Like
damn.
these are kids, like high school kids and shit, killing each other out in the woods partying. I guess one of it was so bad at one point that they cut the girl's head off and they played soccer with their head.
That's fucked.
Yeah, so I mean they were just total lunatics that had no regard for life.
Yeah, they fucking go. Jesus, fucking
Yeah.
assholes.
Oh, thanks for she said sorry about your dog. Thank you. I've never gotten over the Bigfoot crush on my dog, but that wasn't good. My mother didn't want us getting any more dogs after that, and I wasn't allowed to go hunting with my father after that, by the way. So it wasn't
I
good.
bet
That
not.
wasn't. No, she wasn't happy with that.
No,
So
I don't think so.
yep. All right, I'm gonna go to bed. Thanks, guys, and hopefully, we'll do it again. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
I had
Thank
fun,
you, my
buddy.
friend.
And yeah, no
Thanks for
problem.
stopping
Anytime.
by.
Thanks for stopping by. Thanks, buddy. I needed that. I'll
Hey,
see
you're
you
welcome,
later.
my friend. See you, brother.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. Right, y'all. I'm gonna play some calls now. Man, that was good to see Lorne's only working long. Good to have him on. That was a lot of fun. Um, let's let's I kind of want to play some calls that think you guys will like. But I have yet to figure out which one I want to play. So let's play this one. Sausage Fest. Damn right, brother. Play this. Teen terrorized by creature in forest by Mr.
Feet of snow
Ballin.
on the ground.
Copy. Put it on. Actually, you know what? Ooh. For this one, let's do this one. This is my favorite. Because someone wanted me to play this before. They sent it to me. This is one of my favorite stories, and it's UFO related. It's the most convincing alien abduction story. I think it's by Travis Walden is his name.
Many people have claimed over the years to have been abducted by aliens, and realistically, there's no tangible evidence that any human being has ever actually set foot in an extraterrestrial.
Yes. Yes, it is. I remember you sent me this, and I'm sorry for I am horrible at I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I am horrible at checking my email, so just give me some time, but I am doing my best to get a lot better at checking it. So Yes. Yeah, well, this is it. This is I know the story too, but I haven't heard Mr. Ballen's version of it. I've actually heard Travis Walton's because he told it to Joe Rogan before, and that's how I heard of the story.
Real spacecraft or another dimension.
Actually, you know what? Actually,
Or anything
I'll
like
just
that.
let this play.
It's just these.
I was about to say I could play the Travis Walton's his like himself telling the story. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's do that instead. I'll have Travis Walton tell his own story. Actually, Walton. It's off of Joe Rogan's podcast. Actually, so must be must be blowhole talk. Sausage and beer hour.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Let's take it back to the day that this happened. You're 22. You're logging. You're in the woods. Tell me what happened.
Well, it's just when you're done working hard physical labor, everybody's kind of jacked up, and there was a whole lot of chatter in the car. We're just talking away. It's starting to get dark. We just loaded up our equipment. We're headed out, and I looked up ahead, and I saw this kind of glow coming through the trees. First, I thought, no big deal. It was deer hunting season. Thought maybe there were some hunters camped up on the hill up there. Maybe light shining through a tent. It was still something really strange, kind of caught my eye. And one by one, the other guys in the crew started looking, but nobody said, "Oh my God, what's that?" or anything like that. It was just kind of an idle curiosity at first. But when we burst into the clearing where we could see the source of this glow, it was just, whoa, it was just mind-blowing instantly. I inexplicably got out of the truck and ran toward this thing, but I thought it was just going to take off, be gone in a flash. And
so when you say in the clearing, so are you driving on a dirt road?
Yeah, it's a dirt road. Trees are real thick. This was a part of the contract we hadn't cut in yet, so trees were a lot thicker there, except for this clearing, and.
Hey, Decon versus Dark, do you want to join me right now? I can give you a voice call right now, if you like, on Discord.
We weren't the only ones that saw it. We found out later. Sheriff had on file people who were in the area that saw it.
Are you busy or
hunters? And,
I'm not sure.
Fishermen over there at Black Canyon Lake. And the movement that they described was what the crew described when it left.
I'm sorry.
And of course, I didn't see that. But
what did they describe?
They described this glow rising up and streaking off, I believe they said, toward the northeast. There were some people that probably don't want to be public about it, but there was one guy who was just deer hunting, and he worked in military intelligence, and he stuck by what he and his wife saw. They were both together. And another guy that was at Black Canyon Lake, I won't mention any of those guys'
there was
names.
I can't remember the movie's name, but yeah, there was a movie based off of his encounter. His abduction.
Joe Stew, but found out later that there was more official investigation that nobody talked about at the time. Immediately, though, this was all nonsense, and these guys murdered him, and even my oldest brother, he didn't believe me. He thought they had killed me. what we were doing with the brush that we cut was piling it up. There were piles that were in the clearing so that the Forest Service could burn these piles, you know, when the conditions were right, where it wouldn't spread, you know. Wet conditions otherwise, but burn up this excess material to reduce the fire danger in the woods. And my oldest brother was tearing those piles apart. He was certain that my body was under there. And there were some pretty testy confrontations between him and my brother. And I think even my other brother, Dwayne, he initially took that approach, but he quickly became sure that they were telling the truth.
Now, what do you remember when you were going through your mind and you're trying? I mean, this is a story you've told so many times, and this is a story that's been turned into a film, which it's got to be very surreal. But when you look into your memories and you try to go back to that day.
Well, I don't try. It's something I try to block out, but it's unforgettable. And there's...
What do you remember seeing when you ran into the clearing?
Well, the whole clearing was lit up with this weird glow. It's really hard to for any artist or movie to try to duplicate the strange glow there was there. Made everything look really, really pretty eerie, you know. And
did it have a color to it?
It was kind of a golden color, but with a kind of a softness to it that was, it wasn't like beams of light shooting out. It was just this haze of light.
And did it seem to come from a specific part?
It's all the blowhole talk, Ellie.
Part of the craft, or
most of the surface seemed to be glowing. There were darker areas that didn't give off light, but it was the parts that weren't glowing. It wasn't so hard, bright that you couldn't look at it, but it had a metallic look to it.
So, what did the craft itself look like?
It was classic disc-shaped craft. Years later, there was a report. I can never remember names, but this guy was saying that he worked at Area 51, and they had something in there. He worked with the Tester Model Corporation to create a model of what he was describing. And that's actually the closest of any of the other descriptions I've seen. But
Your mom went to college. Your mom went to college.
I think these things have just one type of craft. I think there's many, many different shapes.
What makes you think that?
Well, personal experience. I try not to emphasize these other incidents, but I've seen the glowing sphere. I've seen the giant black triangle. Other craft that were a ball of light that you couldn't penetrate the light with your eyes, but
now this is after this experience.
I think the reason my brother Dwayne was persuaded more quickly than my brother Don was that he saw a craft in those woods. Well, that's probably 10 miles from there while deer hunting.
Well, of course. Have to have a beard.
And it was kind of tic-tac shaped, and that's something that's been observed by, in military reports recently.
Yeah. So you see this thing, this disc-shaped craft,
yeah.
and then what happens?
It started to move and started to get louder.
Loud.
Yeah, it was. The guys in the truck heard it too. There was a low thunder, is kind of a rumble that you actually sort of felt more than heard. And then there were other high-pitched frequencies. I was talking to
I'm telling you, it was this.
a group of students from technical college, and they were really interested in what the sound was like to try to, compare that with theories that they had concerning what might be their propulsion. But the increase in volume, it suddenly got louder as it started to move. And, at the same time, the guys in the truck were screaming, "Get away from there."
I like your beard, Decon.
Let's go, get back in the truck, let's go. And which would have been the smart thing to do, but as soon as it moved, it startled me, and I just ducked for cover. There was a log there. I got down behind this log, and they were screaming, "Let's go, let's go, let's go." And I didn't need to be told. I was just going to, stand up and run away. But see, when I jumped for cover, I went down and forward to reach where the log would hide me. And that brought me closer to it. So when I stood up, at that point, that was the closest I was to the object.
How close?
It was still like 8 or 10 feet away, from the surface of it. But that was when the energy discharge happened. I've worked on a number of theories about what might have happened. At the time, some of the other guys on the truck were thinking, immediately Steve said, "It got him." Like, if you shot a deer, you got it,
Right.
And so it might not have been as we assumed at first, that it was some kind of stun gun or something, but maybe just closing that gap allowed this energy to leap to ground through me. And
like static electricity or something.
Yeah, one thing that really weighs heavy in that direction is that when I found years later that they have satellites or something that record the number of lightning strikes, and that area has the highest frequency of lightning strikes of any place in the continental United States, except.
Yeah, that is very true. It is more energetic.
For the Everglades. The Everglades has.
I'm sorry, yeah, well, I should have played the Mr. Ballin version for you. I am very sorry. I was being a condescending asshole and wanting to hear this one instead, and I'm sorry.
A bit more, but that's over water.
I'm being a terrible host tonight. I'm sorry, guys. It's not like Majestic. I'm sorry.
So
very unmajestic.
That adds to another theory. What were they doing there? You know?
I apologize.
So that area.
I really am
that
sorry.
has a high level of lightning strikes.
I should have played it.
Do you think it makes sense that they're observing that, or is that why they were there? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, up until a few years ago, you know, you walk down the rim road, and if you see a tree that's been hit by lightning, you can always see.
Why is this Joe Rogan? You know what? I should just play it. Regardless, after this, I'll just play it.
It's a strip of bark that's just blasted.
You know what? Just for you, because oh my god, I feel like such an asshole. After this, I will just play it
out of there, and it's all bare.
It's so much better.
It can actually still survive the lightning strike, but it turns the sap to steam instantly, and it just explodes out the side of the tree, blows the bark off. But I was at a conference where this lady was, I said, "What's this?" And she says, "That's fulgurite." I said, "What's that?" And she says, "That's when lightning strikes the earth. You've got millions of volts, millions of degrees that form these crystals that aren't formed geologically. So I kind of leaned towards this theory that perhaps they were looking for fulgurite, for a very unique kind of crystal that would be formed by that kind of blast of energy. I'd never heard of fulgurite before.
Can you pull up an image of that, Jamie? I'd like to see what that looks like. I know tritonite is something that happens when they call it nuclear glass. It happens when there is either a nuclear explosion or when asteroid impacts hit the Earth. That's it right there.
Well, these crystals are supposed to have very special properties for people who are into crystal stuff, but...
what does that say there, Jamie? This is what happens. That's what can... Wow, that's wild.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. That's pretty wild. So it might be that they were looking for that. Well, who knows? It may be something that they use for energy. What is that? That's really when lightning struck Santa created that thing? That's wild. That is wild. Look at that. It looks like a tree coming out of the sand.
I'm guessing that was wet sand.
Yeah.
But
yeah, well, it's right next to the beach. It must be wet. That is crazy. That's really wild, man. Catch new episodes.
Wow. So yeah, let's watch the Mr. Ballin's version. Really is. I was like thinking I need a fucking glass of water each time. Yeah, let's watch this. Yeah,
It's
Mr.
just
Ballins.
these crazy stories from people that claim this happened to them. And while many of these stories are very quickly cast aside as absolute hoax, not true, not accurate, there's one story, one abduction story that is universally regarded as the most believable and most famous alien abduction story, and that is of Travis Walton. What made this case so famous is that unlike all of the other alien abduction cases where there was never any proof, it was usually one person's firsthand account. In this case, you have a full-scale police investigation. You have up to 16 lie detector tests that were taken by Travis Walton himself, along with the other witnesses and people that were there. And you have a group of 6 level-headed guys that actually witnessed the abduction take place and have stuck to their story and have passed all lie detector tests and have never changed their story in 40 years. And you would think that at some point you might change your story because they came under incredible scrutiny. I mean, it basically derailed most of their careers and their lives because they were labeled as crazy people for believing that a UFO had abducted Travis Walton. I mean, in a way, they became famous, but in all the worst ways. So you have all these elements that make this story seem fairly credible. And even if this wasn't an alien abduction, let's say, how do you account for the past lie detector tests that are talking about UFOs? How do you account for the fact that Travis Walton was really missing for 5 days and has no idea where he was? And there was a full search effort to find him in the area where he would have been. So lots of unanswered questions, but the story itself of when he was actually abducted and then his own story about what happened once he had been abducted, it makes for just an incredible story. It's been converted into books and movies, and to this day, it remains one of, if not the single most fascinating purported alien abduction stories ever. But before we get into today's story, if you are a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, well then you've come to the right channel, because that's all I do, and I upload 3 to 4 of these stories every week.
Like
So if that's something that interests you, I would encourage you to gently extirpate the like button and then subscribe to my channel and turn on all post notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. All right, let's dive into the story. By 1975, Travis Walton, who was 22 years old at the time, had developed a bad boy reputation in his hometown of Snowflake, Arizona. You know, he rode a noisy Harley Davidson motorcycle through town. He was a wild bull rider, and he was a boxer. And there was this story about Travis when he was...
Well, they're not talking about blowholes, Ellie.
with his friends in a car, and they were driving down this road, and a bear jumped out of the woods and landed in the middle of the road and was just standing there. And Travis, without any hesitation, leaps out of his car and
have a good night, Ellie. It's good to see you again. Thanks for stopping by.
Chases after this huge bear and scares it into the woods, and in fact chased it up into the woods. So Travis was just known as this kind of rebel, you know, problem child a little bit, but he was beloved by his friends. He was just like one of those cool guys that just, he did it his own way. So Travis and the 6 other men that he worked with were loggers. They were given contracts, and they would go out and they would clear trees in a certain area. They were not big time with huge equipment to do this. We're talking chainsaws, you know, regular saws and axes. And they would just go out, you know, these blue collar, like hard working type guys, and they would clear areas of trees. That's what they did. Now these 7 men, they did a dangerous job. I mean, you're cutting down these huge trees, and you're usually working pretty quickly. You know, you're operating, you know, chainsaws that are pretty dangerous. And Mike Rogers, who was the crew boss, who was there the day of this event, he described in a number of his interviews that, you know, the men that he hired to do these jobs, they needed to be incredibly level-headed. They did not strike you as people that would have this fantastical, you know, alien encounter story. On November 5th, 1975, Mike Rogers was given a contract to clear out this huge 1,200-acre plot of land inside of the Sitgreaves National Forest. And he grabbed his crew, they piled into the one pickup truck that Mike owned, and Mike knew that this was going to be a really difficult job. It was a huge area to cover, and he told his men up front, we're going to be working really hard, so expect long full days. And so over the first 3 days of the job, even though they were working, you know, long hours and barely taking any breaks, they were behind schedule. At the end of this 3rd day, it's late at night, they've worked all day, and everybody is just totally exhausted. And so finally they wrap up, and they all pile back into Mike's truck, all 7 of them, and they start driving the access road back down to the main road to get back to the town. And as they're driving, they're not really talking about work at all. They're kind of joking about what they're going to do that night. And as they're driving down the road, and again, it's heavily forested, they look off to the right, and there is some lights in the forest. They would say in interviews that they all noticed it, but it did not stand out as anything particularly bad. It just could be anything. They weren't thinking about it. But as they were driving down this road, and this light, I guess, got brighter, or maybe they couldn't help but notice it, they all started commenting on this light, and they're looking at it, and somebody suggested that, oh, it's probably just the moon, you know, it's a full moon. But then one of the guys on the other side of the truck happened to look out his side, away from where that light was, and he goes, no, the moon's over here, it's on this side of the road. So they're like, okay, it's not the moon. And then someone suggested, oh, well, maybe it's a forest fire. Like, maybe we should go check it out, that could be a forest fire. But then Mike Rogers, the driver, the crew boss, was like, no, there'd be smoke, there's no smoke or anything. And Travis, who, you know, he's the guy that's jumping out of cars to go chase down bears, and he's like a total kind of adrenaline junkie type. He's like, hey, let's just drive over there and see what it is. Like, I don't know, it could be anything. Let's go check it out. The guys in the truck were a little on edge about it, but ultimately said, you know, what's the harm? We'll drive over. We know there's a road that brings us over to that section of the forest. We'll get a look at whatever this is, and then we'll leave. So they drive down this other little access road, and they come to a clearing where these lights were, and they are astounded at what they see. They were all polygraphed separately about what they saw when they reached this clearing. Each of them described the same thing with slightly different details because it's from their own perspective, and the polygraph tests all showed that they were telling the truth. They saw this disc-shaped craft with what looked like panels of lights on the underside, hovering in a clearing maybe 50 or 100 feet off the ground, not spinning or anything, just floating in midair, as if it was suspended. And the men, in their interviews later on TV shows and books, they would say what struck them was not just the fact that there's this craft here, but how bizarre it was to see this thing defying gravity. It's not moving, but it's hovering over the air, and it's right in front of us. And one of the men even commented at length, because he would build houses, and he was a handy guy, and he
Dang. 50 to 100 feet up, lights going around, dude, and interview and polygraphed at separate times. That's very smart too. Holy shit. Yeah. Fuck.
he started talking about the structural framework of this craft. He could see that there was really impressive engineering on the underside of this craft. It was just a beautiful, beautiful machine. And they're looking at it, and Travis is so excited when they get to this clearing. He doesn't even know what he's looking at, but much like the bear, where he jumps out and chases the bear.
Oh shit.
Chases the bear. As soon as they were almost at a stop in this clearing right next to the ship, he's jumping out.
Oh,
of the car.
you stupid
Nobody else
fuck.
is, just Travis.
Majestic.
And he starts walking just a little ways away from the car towards this craft. The craft doesn't move. The craft is maybe from where they parked, maybe 50 or 100 feet away from them, and then 50 or 100 feet in the air. And the crew doesn't say anything. They're just dumbfounded by what they're looking at. Travis is also dumbfounded, but he's walking.
Hi, Dakan. First dark. Nice for you to stall, boy. I'll have to check out your shirts.
Towards the ship. And he would say in an interview that he was frightened, but he was mostly curious. He knew he was looking at something that no one knew what it was. Some sort of craft. They didn't know what it was, but it was fascinating to him.
Hell yeah,
He kept
wounded
walking
warrior.
closer and closer and closer to it. And as the crew kind of came out of their initial shock of seeing this unidentified flying object in the sky, they start yelling for Travis to come back. They had this bad sense that something was going to happen, and they thought you shouldn't go near it, like, come back. Not to mention it's hovering in the air. What if it falls and it lands on you? Like, hey, Travis, come back over here. And then it was like once one person started yelling for Travis to come back, they all did. And so Travis remembered hearing them screaming for him to come back to the car. But he's not really paying any attention. He's still walking. And finally he stops. He's just looking at it. And Travis would say he was just struck at just the beauty of the underside of this craft with all these different panels of lights built into it. It was this incredible piece of machinery. And he's looking at it, and then all of a sudden it starts spinning just a little bit. And it starts emitting this noise that all of them reported hearing, this loud mechanical sound. And now the yells from the crew are getting louder and louder. And Travis would say that he knew he needed to turn around and go back, but he just wanted to look for a few more seconds. And he was about to turn and go back to the truck when all of a sudden a beam of light comes out and strikes Travis like a lightning strike. And all of the crew saw this happen. He gets blown 20 feet away. Like he gets lifted off the ground and thrown 20 feet. And they watched it happen. And again, in all of their polygraph tests, they all said the same thing. All passed. He was hit by a ray of light from this UFO, knocked him 20 feet back. Mike Rogers, in a panic, along with everybody else in the crew, they just decide to leave. And they're convincing themselves, as Mike is driving away like a maniac, leaving Travis behind, they're convincing themselves that he's dead already. We just watched him get shot by something. We don't know what that is. And they're freaked out. They don't even know what they saw. They're crying. They're hysterical. These are grown men, just absolutely terrified. And they're driving a little ways until finally Mike just hits the brakes and he stops. And Mike is like, we have to go back for him. He was like, if you guys want to stay here and wait for me, that's fine. But this truck is going back to get Travis. And so the idea of waiting out in the open after seeing what they just saw was even worse than going back. They wanted to stay together. So a little bit begrudgingly, although they knew they needed to, they all got back in the truck, turned around and started driving back up to the UFO site. As they make it back up, they notice that there is no lights up there. The craft is gone and there's no Travis. And they get out, and now Mike is uncontrollably crying because he feels like they just abandoned him, and where did he go? Everybody else is in shock. They can't believe it. They start screaming for Travis. They're running around the woods, yelling for Travis, looking for signs of Travis. They really don't know what happened, but they know Travis is not here. And after a little bit of time of looking, they're like, we have to tell the police. And they knew that it was going to be bad for them when they told police. The story is a UFO came.
Yeah, it's like, how do you tell someone, like, what the fuck you just saw? Like, what just happened? And, oh. Just, man, that'd be so hard to tell someone. Knowing the backlash that you'll get. Oh my god, man.
And zapped Travis, and now he's gone. That doesn't really.
Yeah, and then on top of that, saying, yeah, I just saw someone get zapped by like this craft thing in the woods, and people are, it's just, oh my god, it'd be so difficult to tell someone without sounding like you're losing your damn mind.
Sit well with police, but they knew, because they wanted to find Travis and they were very concerned about their friend, they knew they had to tell police. Mike and a few of the other crew were just unable to even think. They were crying, they were upset, and so finally they get to a payphone, the first payphone they saw, because it's 1975, and Ken Peterson, who was this very kind of simple, matter-of-fact guy, recently married, just very simple guy, very level-headed guy. He decides to call the police because he's the only one who was, I guess, composed enough to do it. And so he calls the sheriff's department and he says, you got to come out here. We can't find our friend Travis Walton. We'll have to describe it to you when you get here, because trying to do it over the phone is not going to do it justice. But he's gone and we don't know where he went. So shortly thereafter, Sheriff Marlon Gillespie and Ken Copeland, they're partners, they show up at this rest stop where this payphone was, and they get to the scene. They see Ken Peterson, who made the call to them, and they're like, all right, tell us what's going on. The crew has now gotten out of the truck. They look distraught for sure. And Ken begins to try to describe what happened, but he hasn't said UFO, he hasn't said aliens. He's just said, we were up at the logging site, we had a contract up there, and then, just, it's hard to describe. And Mike Rogers jumps in. He's like, we saw a UFO, and a ray of light hit Travis, and then he disappeared. And the sheriffs are looking at them like, really? And so they stopped them and were like, all right, I need to search your truck to make sure you guys aren't under the influence of something. And they're like, we haven't done anything. We've been working all day. They search the truck, nothing. They check each of them to see if they're sober, and their field test showed they were all sober. And the Sheriff Gillespie, who was the overall in charge sheriff, even though he was a total skeptic, and so was Sheriff Copeland as well, he would say about that first engagement with the 6 crew members that they were obviously shaken up by something. Something had happened. They don't know what it was, but they were shaken up. And what Sheriff Gillespie believed was that they were creating a hoax to cover up a real crime.
I'll be right back, y'all. I'm going to let the call play. Like I said, it's not a majestic stream without him having to take a pee break.
He believed that they had harmed Travis Walton, and they were using a UFO to cover it up. But he also was thinking to himself, like, this is a bad hoax. It's not very well planned. They don't really have their stories really lined up particularly well. They're not doing a good job explaining it. The only thing they're doing well is acting scared. A couple hours later, the sun's starting to come up because it was super late when all this happened. And Sheriff Gillespie and Sheriff Copeland have organized this huge search effort up in the forest where Travis had gone missing. And the crew members, they're all there as well. A bunch of volunteers showed up and they are scouring the area. I mean, they got dogs out, they got these huge teams looking everywhere, and they can't come up with anything. I mean, they're looking everywhere, there's no sign, there's nothing. There's nothing from Travis. And so while this is all going on, Sheriff Copeland and Sheriff Gillespie have started coming over to Mike Rogers and the rest of the crew and being like, hey, if you just tell us where Travis Walton's body is, like, we'll go easy on you guys. Like, we know you did it. And they can feel that the pressure is really mounting, that if they don't find Travis, even though they didn't do anything, according to their story, they're going to face serious repercussions, because that's the way the world works. You don't get to say aliens did this and not have any blame placed on you. Because
yeah, they would have been tried for murder. You're right, yeah, well.
There's no proof.
Have a good night, my friend, Decon.
That's it. And so the crew has started to become very worried about what's going to happen. They're worried about Travis, of course, but they're starting to see that, like, they're going to be prosecuted for this unless they find Travis. And so they're all very stressed out. And they noticed during the search, this first day of searching, that these 3 guys wearing red jackets had these tools that were scanning the ground, almost like a metal detector. And Mike Rogers, he was hoping that during this investigation that they would have people come out that were like paranormal investigators. I guess maybe he was naive to think that the police would actually do that. But he thought, given the fact that we've all said this is a UFO that zapped Travis, who then disappeared, that they would have at least one person representing the kind of paranormal side of the investigation coming out. And so he sees these guys in red with their special tools that seem like a metal detector, and his gut says they're paranormal investigators. And so Mike goes over to them and he's like, hey, what are these tools you guys are doing? Like, what is this? And they look at him and they're like, oh, well, this tests for radiation. We're scanning for radiation in the area. And he asked them, like, well, what group are you guys with? Are you with the sheriff's department? And they just didn't really answer him. They said, oh, we're just checking for radiation in the area. This is just what we do. And Mike sees an opportunity, because when that ship emitted that ray of light that ultimately blew Travis Walton 20 feet and then, evaporated him or something, they were within range of that big ball of lightning, and they were very much in the kind of cone where, had there been radiation coming off of that ship, he believed that perhaps they would have been hit with it. And so he asked the guys with the red jackets on and their little radiation tools to scan the crew's jackets and bodies to see if they were radioactive. And so the crew comes over and they scan them, and there's nothing. There's no trace elements of radioactivity. They're like, no, there's nothing. And then Mike realizes that from the time they called the sheriff until this search, they had all the crew gone home and changed, then come out to do this search. And so he thought, well, then, any of the radioactive materials would have been on our clothes, which aren't here, but we have our hard hats in the back of the truck that were out here the whole time. They were potentially exposed to whatever was out there from the ship. Can you test those? And so he brought over one of their helmets, and the guy in red scans his helmet, and the ticker goes all the way over, fully radioactive. And the guy in red looked up at Mike and looked down at the helmet, and he's scanning it, and he's looking at him kind of trying to size him up. And then he turns and he kind of gestures at the other two in red and tells them to stop doing what they're doing. And they come over and they're scanning the helmets as well. And then, without any indication of what the results were, what this meant, because Mike is kind of waiting for them to tell them what's going to happen, the guys in red just turn around and say, okay. And they just start walking away. And Mike's like, well, wait, what does this mean? And they don't turn around, and they just walk away from the search site. And so the other crew are watching this happen too. And Mike and the crew are trying to get them to come back, but they're not turning around. They're just leaving, and then they're gone. And so Mike goes over to the sheriffs, who they know the sheriffs think they did something to Travis. These are not their friends, but they figured we need to ask them who those guys in red were. So they go over to Sheriff Gillespie, and they're like, hey, who were those guys in red jackets with the radiation detectors? And Sheriff Gillespie's like, who? There's no one here looking for radiation. Everyone here is here because I ordered them to be here. Who are they? Where are they? And he's like, well, they just walked over there. They went around the corner there. And Sheriff Gillespie's like, well, I didn't order them there. And it would turn out that they couldn't locate these three people. No one knew who they were. Mike went around and asked anybody who seemed like an authority figure if they knew who these people were. They asked people if they had interacted with them, and no one knew. So after this search that goes on for a couple of days, turns up nothing. There's no sign of Travis. The town of Snowflake, Arizona really turned on the 6 crew members. Everybody believed that they had done something to Travis, that this UFO thing was a hoax, and that they harmed Travis, and they were using this as a cover-up. And the sheriff's department, they really perpetuated that. They were pretty open about, this is not a UFO situation, this is not an alien abduction, this is a missing person case, and frankly, we believe the UFO thing is a hoax. National and international media had picked this story up, and it became this massively viral story all over the world. And news media outlets are converging on Snowflake, Arizona, and they're inundating the sheriff's department with requests for more information about this alien abduction, and it's really frustrating the 2 sheriffs who were leading this investigation, Sheriff Gillespie and Sheriff Copeland. And they were already skeptical and really upset about feeling like they were being taken advantage of by these crew members, this hoax, right? That's what they believed it was. And so Sheriff Gillespie and Copeland decide, you know what, we're going to just cut through all the BS here, and we're going to make these boys take a lie detector test. So they go out and get one of the country's best polygraph examiners to come in and administer a lie detector test on each of the 6 crew members. And so one by one over the course of the day, each crew member was tested for 2 hours, same questions, all centering on the criminal side, the kind of foul play angle for Travis Walton. They all go through it. And it turned out that 5 of the 6 had all shown that they were telling the truth. And the 6th person, it was just inconclusive. It didn't mean that he was lying. It just meant that the test wasn't done very well. And this polygraph examiner had anywhere from a 92 to 98% accuracy rate. He was one of the best in the country. And he even would say, like, it would be so difficult to fake that. To have 5 people, let's say this is all a big hoax and they harmed Travis Walton. It would be almost impossible to have 5 people be able to pass my examination and have nobody slip up. They were telling the truth. And so the examiner tells the sheriff, and the Sheriff Gillespie is dumbfounded because he believed that they were going to find out.
Road scholar.
They were all lying, and that this could
just
be a pure criminal.
Oh my god, yeah, that's right. Fuck, he hasn't. Oh my god, dude, you wouldn't even know how to begin saying something like this to someone.
Investigation, and it would be.
It's like where to begin?
Let's go find Travis Walton's body, but now the examiner's saying they're telling the truth. And so Detective Gillespie and his partner are like, now what do we do? And then 5 days after Travis's disappearance, Travis shows back up. During numerous interviews, Travis would say that he remembers waking up on a road and he didn't recognize where he was, but it was nighttime, it was raining, and he sensed a very bright light above him. And so as he's laying, he kind of turns his head to look up into the sky and he sees what looks like the underside of that ship, because he remembered how struck he was by the beauty of the kind of engineering underneath that disc UFO they saw in the forest. It looked the same. His vision was not great, but he's looking up and he's pretty confident that's what he's looking at. And then it flies into the sky and it's gone. And he's left in total darkness on a road in some place he doesn't know. And he remembers standing up and feeling very weak and depleted and dehydrated. And he just knew that he had to get to civilization. He had to just go in a direction and find someone who could help him because he was so weak and he would die out there if he didn't find someone who could help. And so he musters the strength to stand up and he starts kind of staggering down the road. And eventually, through just adrenaline, he just starts running. And luckily, he sees up ahead there is a rest stop. And at rest stops, there's payphones. And he makes his way down and he goes to the payphone and he has change in his pocket still. He puts it in the payphone and he ends up calling his brother. And his brother he can't believe he's talking to Travis because Travis is probably supposed to be dead at this point. He didn't believe it was Travis, but Travis just said to him over and over again, "It's me. They brought me back." And he tells him where he is because now he recognizes that this rest stop is actually in Snowflake, Arizona. When his brother picks him up, Travis would say that he believed that this was just minutes after, the initial abduction. He didn't even know he had been abducted. This is like he's coming to and he's like, man, what happened? Like I was just over at that clearing where I saw this ship and now I'm over here. Like, what am I doing here? And so Travis's brother is looking at him like, where have you been? We've been so worried about you for the past several days. And Travis, who was kind of almost catatonic, he's in shock. He doesn't know what's going on. He looks at his brother and he's like, what do you mean days? And his brother's like, you've been missing for 5 days. And so Travis would say that when he heard this news, this revelation that he had been missing for 5 days, it absolutely put him into shock. He was in a catatonic state where he couldn't make sense of it. And so he just sat there quietly. And his brother's like looking at him, not really sure what to even ask. He asked a couple times what happened and Travis just didn't answer because he didn't know. He couldn't explain it. And so Travis's brother decides, instead of just immediately calling the police, I want to bring you to a hospital because clearly that needs to happen. And frankly, with the media circus, as soon as they find out you're back, it's just going to be mayhem. And I want to make sure you're taken care of first. So he drives to Phoenix, Arizona, and he brings him to a hospital. And he asked the doctors to be discreet, and he has a doctor do an examination. The doctor knew who Travis Walton was because he'd been following the news. And he's doing an examination of Travis, and he was malnourished and he was tired and looked very sick. But there was no physical wounds with the exception of he had one puncture site in his arm, in the crook of his arm. Travis was not a drug user, so it wasn't like that was, a mark from using drugs. It was a puncture site, and they assumed someone had recently put a needle in his arm. And also the doctor drug tested him and tested his blood, and there was no drugs in his system. It wasn't like he had been using any sort of substance. So he kind of had a clear bill of health, minus the injection site and looking pretty ragged. And so after the examination, Travis's brother brings Travis back to his home in Phoenix, Arizona. As soon as they get back, his home phone is getting constant phone calls. It had made its way to the sheriff's department back in Snowflake, Arizona, and they are nonstop calling Travis's brother. Like, hey, we hear he's back. We have to talk to him. We have to talk to him. Sheriff Gillespie, he drives all the way to Phoenix. He goes in and he sits down to talk to Travis. And Sheriff Gillespie would say that Travis looked like he was in shock. He looked like he had been through something traumatic. It did not seem like he was acting. And he starts asking Travis what happened. And Travis, he does mention the UFO. He mentions seeing this thing in a clearing. You know, he gets struck by some light. He doesn't know what it was. And then, you know, he's on the road 5 days later and he can't really make sense of what happened. He just didn't really know what happened over the 5 days. And finally, Sheriff Gillespie just kind of doesn't really give up. He's like, well, we have no way to arrest him. We have no proof of anything. And so we decided we're going to be in touch, and he drives back. And then media starts showing up. Huge news trucks start showing up outside. Everybody found out, because this was a huge story, where he was, and everybody wanted answers. Finally, the National Enquirer, they reached out and they said, hey, if you give us an exclusive story, if Travis speaks to us about what happened to him, we will get you out of here, we'll bring you to a private location, and we'll even pay to have Travis undergo a whole other battery of tests that are not typically done to see if they could figure out what had happened to him. And so they agree to go with the National Enquirer. So by the time he's actually sitting there looking at the National Enquirer, he's had a little bit of time to maybe let his memory kind of kick back in about what had happened. And he's having these flashes of memory of what happened over those 5 days. Because initially all he could remember was seeing the craft and then being on the road 5 days later. And so when he's sitting down with the National Enquirer people, he begins to recall what actually happened over those 5 days. And so this is what he said happened. He said that he remembers getting out of the truck and walking up to this craft. And he remembers his crew members yelling at him to come back. He knew they were yelling at him to come back. He just wanted to look at the craft a little bit longer. And then right as he was about out to turn around and head back, the craft started moving. This loud kind of mechanical eerie sound is being made. And before he had a chance to run back, he gets hit with this lightning bolt of some kind. Then he remembers being in the presence of some doctors. He saw white lab coats, masks, and facial coverings, and he's kind of in and out of consciousness, and he's, you know, this orange light around him, but he definitely sees what looks like medical professionals, and he's thinking to himself, whatever happened with that ship, it must have hurt me, and my crew must have scooped me up and brought me to the hospital. And so in his kind of in and out state, he's aware that he's around medical professionals, at least what he believes are medical professionals. And at some point, his vision clears. It goes from foggy and he's in and out to being pretty much lucid. And he looks down at his chest, and there's a rectangular box sitting on his chest that he didn't recognize. It didn't really look like modern medical equipment. It just looked like this almost like rock sitting on his chest. And he looks at that, and then he looks up at one of the people who's wearing a mask, who's working on him, one of the medical professionals. And this person is working on this box, and then the person looks at Travis Walton and then leans in to look even closer at Travis Walton, and Travis is horrified. It was this grayish, thin, narrow-headed figure that was very short, maybe like 4 feet high, who was looking in at him, and its eyes were like slits, and it's looking at Travis. And Travis, who's unbelievably scared at this point, pushes everything off of him and rips out all the cords that are attached to him. He kind of topples off of this table that he was on, and he realizes he's in a fairly small room, and there's 3 of these humanoid creatures in the room with him. And he picks up the biggest instrument he can see next to the table that he was just laying on. He didn't know what it was, and he starts kind of wildly waving it at them and screaming to leave him alone, like, get away from me. And he's trying to make sense of what he's looking at, and the 3 figures in lab coats start walking closer and closer to him. And they're just kind of looking up at him, trying to study him a little bit. They get all the way up to him, and he's waving, and he's almost about to hit one of them when they just kind of abruptly turn around and leave the room, leaving him alone in this kind of examination room. And as soon as they leave, he watches them go down the little, outside the door, down the little hallway, and they turn left. And so he's practically paralyzed with fear, but he knows if he can't get out of this room, he's done for. And so finally, he kind of gets himself together and he walks past the examination table. He goes down the hallway outside of the door, and instead of going left where they went, he kind of sneaks off to the right and starts walking. And he comes to another room, and it's a room that has a single chair in it. It's this tiny little room with a chair, and the chair is turned away from him. He begins to peer around the chair, and he sees that no one is sitting there. So he goes in front of the chair, and he's like touching the wall, looking for a doorknob or any sort of mechanism that can get him out of this room. And he said, like, the room, it was like this perfectly flat. Everything was flat and smooth. There was no door handles. He couldn't find a way out. And he ultimately sees on the chair that it looks like there's some buttons on the chair itself. And he pushes all these buttons on the chair and nothing happens. And then in the doorway where he came in, suddenly a person, a man, appears in the doorway who's wearing what looks like a spacesuit, like an astronaut suit. And Travis is so immediately relieved, even though the weirdness of him being in an astronaut suit is pretty high. But he's like, it's a human. And he doesn't know what to think about the fact that he's now excited to see a human, right? Like, it's terrifying that you were just around these non-humans, but he's like in panic mode now. He sees another human being and he runs over to him and he says, please, you gotta help me. I don't know where I am. You know, where are we? What is this? What's going on? And he notices that the eyes of this person inside of the spacesuit, it's a man who at least looks like a man, but his eyes are distant. He's not making eye contact with Travis. It's like he's in a trance. And he said his eyes just seemed off. Like they weren't focused on him. It would be like if you're talking to someone, but they were like permanently looking away from you. There was just something off about him and he never spoke. And so he's trying to ask this guy, like, where are we? And the guy takes him by the arm and he just starts leading him back into the hall where he came from and continued down the hall, not back towards the room where he was originally, but down the hall in the other direction. And they get to another door and he opens it up and Travis the whole time is like pleading with this guy to help him. And he thinks that this guy is helping him. He thinks that this is his savior. And he feels relieved that a human being, albeit a strange human being, is helping him. And eventually he stops asking him any questions because the guy in the spacesuit's just not reacting to him. They open this door and they go down into this huge hangar where there's all these spacecraft that look just like the one that he saw in the clearing, that Travis saw in the clearing. And they start walking down between all these spacecraft that are just hovering, much like they were hovering in the forest, seemingly able to just defy gravity. And the whole time, this guy in the spacesuit's saying nothing, and Travis is like, what is this? What are these craft? Is this military? Saying nothing. They walk to the far side of the hangar, and they open up another door, and they go into another bright white room. And there's 3 more human-like people with the strange eye thing going on in spacesuits that are standing there next to another medical table, and they're looking not at Travis, but their bodies are aimed in the direction of the door they came in through. Travis goes in and he sees these 3 and he thinks, these people are here to save me. Like, again, I feel relieved to see humans, albeit strange humans, but nonetheless humans. And the guy who had brought him in there continues to lead him over to the 3 other people, and they pick him up and they put him on the table. And he starts kind of resisting because he doesn't know what they're doing. They're not speaking. He's like, what are you doing? And they force him onto this table, and he's feeling pretty weak at this point. And they take a gas mask and they put it over his face. And then he blacks out. And his next memory after that is when he woke up on the road and had the light above him that flew away, and he had to run down to the payphone to call his brother. Travis did not immediately go and speak to the crew members that were there that night. It took quite a bit of time. You know, he was talking to press, he was, doing interviews, the police wanted to talk to him. There's a lot going on, but he eventually got together with the other 6 crew members. And they all met up at Mike Rogers, the crew boss's house, and they just said, you got to tell us what happened. And so he sits down and he tells the story. All of them believed him. They didn't want to believe him, but they believed him because they saw the first half of the story. They saw it for themselves. And once he was done telling it, they didn't really have that many questions. They just felt bad. They felt like if they had just stayed there and taken Travis, he wouldn't have been taken, but they didn't know that. And so all of them would leave Mike's house that day, and they would all go their separate ways. They did not stay in touch. They went their separate ways. It was like this hugely traumatic event that even to this day, 40 plus years later, when they talk about it, they're often brought to tears. Ken Peterson, his interviews are particularly striking because when he talks about it, you know, he's an older man now, and he says, to this day, I'm scared to look out my window because I'm afraid I'm going to see a spaceship. And he starts crying when he talks about it. I mean, this had a profound impact on these 7 men, and some of them didn't do so well. This whole story, it ruined their credibility. Even though this is, you know, the most believable alien abduction story, the truth is most people think it's a hoax. You know, one of them, like his own family, basically disowned him because they felt so embarrassed about this whole story. They don't believe him. So if this was a hoax, like, to what end? What did they get out of it? Nothing. It damaged their lives. Following this case over the span of 40 years, there would be 16 lie detector tests taken, 5 by Travis Walton and 11 by the remaining crew, and they would all pass. The one member of that initial polygraph set, when 5 had passed and 1 was inconclusive, he was retested, the same exact test, and he did pass. It's just one of those things where we're left with this incredible story where modern technology says they're telling the truth, but we can't fit that truth into what we think of as normal life. And so we've just decided that there's going to be a group of people that believe and there's going to be a group of people that don't. And you're left to pick which side you're on. So I'd love to hear what side you sit on. Was this a hoax? Was this an abduction, or was this something else? Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll do my best to get back in touch with you. And if you haven't already, please gently extirpate the like button, and then also subscribe to my channel, turn on all post notifications so you don't miss any of my 3 to 4 weekly uploads every week. If you want to get in touch with me, you can message me on Instagram. My handle is johnballin416. I'm also very active on TikTok, where my handle is Mr. Ballin. That's going to do it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Talk soon.
All right, y'all. I think that's gonna be it for me tonight. Uh, so yeah, thanks for stopping by, y'all. I have my Discord server in there in the chat. Sorry, I was like kind of falling asleep right there. um, so yeah, and thanks for Lorne's only working long to come on stream and telling me his Bigfoot story. That was awesome. Thanks for stopping by again, y'all. Um, I'm gonna be taking tomorrow night off because I can't. I'm gonna be cheating on us with the UFC tomorrow. So yeah, Alex Pereira and Izzy are gonna go at it again, and Jorge Masvidal and Gilbert Burns gonna go at it tomorrow night. It's gonna be a good night of fights tomorrow night. So I'll be taking tomorrow night off, and then probably taking Easter off too. But I'll let you guys know I might do an Easter stream. But other than that, sorry, I was like kind of falling asleep there for a second. Fuck. Um, other than that, have a good night, y'all. I'm gonna go to bed. Love you guys. Out. Peace. See you guys. Thanks for stopping by.